Amidst the bustling crowd of Zhangcheng, a young man suddenly tapped a stranger on the shoulder. "Hey, gorgeous, I can tell by your face that your fortune has turned pitch black. You're definitely facing a life-threatening disaster today. It's better to draw a little blood now to prevent a catastrophe later." The woman, completely baffled, gave him the middle finger. "You creep! I'm not some girl on the street, and I'm definitely not interested in dating you." Yashin, the young man, had just arrived from the mountains. After years of grueling training on Mount Kunlun, he never expected the women of Zhangcheng to be so cold and dismissive. I was actually born into the Yi family right here in this city. Even though he was bullied as a child, his family of 3 lived happily until 5 years ago, when everything was destroyed. The head of the Ye family had offended powerful figures from the capital while trying to save a young girl. A few days later, during a banquet at the Yunhu Mountain Villa, the entire Ye clan was wiped out. Only Ye Shen survived. Those who once groveled at the feet of the Ye family just stood by and watched as they were annihilated. Consumed by bitterness, Ye Shen wanted to kill those who destroyed his family, but his meager strength was no match for them. In the end, his mother had to personally push him into the Dongqian Lake to save his life. Later, Ye Shen met his master and climbed the mountain to train, developing skills so terrifying that even demons would tremble. Now Ye Shen has descended from his mountain, returning to Zhangcheng to fulfill his master's mission. He intends to use this opportunity to settle every single debt from the past. Thinking of this, Ye Shen's killing intent leaked out unintentionally. The people around him suddenly felt weak and unable to move. He quickly pulled back his killing aura. The passers-by looked at each other, confused, while in that brief moment, Ye Shen took the chance to leap up to a high floor. He had to complete his master's mission first. A gentleman can wait 15 years to take his revenge, let alone someone who isn't even old enough to take a wife yet. The Huame Group is one of the leading corporations in Changcheng, and its CEO is a beautiful woman named Xia Rushui. 3 days ago, his master performed a celestial reading to divine her fate. He discovered that in 100 days, Xia Rushui will face a lethal disaster. Coincidentally, Ye Shen's destiny is that of the crouching dragon of death, so he was sent to prevent this tragedy. Ye Shen heard his master say that back in the day. When he traveled the world, he knew Xia Rushui's grandmother. Who knows? She might even be his master's granddaughter. Ye Shen arrived in front of the Huame Group, but was immediately stopped by 2 security guards at the door. Ye Shen tried to strike up a friendly conversation. "Is there someone here named Xia Rushu? I need to see her." "See the CEO? Do you even have an appointment?" "No outsiders allowed." Predictably, Ye Shen's disheveled appearance got him blocked immediately. "I really have something very important that I need to tell Xia Rushu directly. If it's inconvenient, I can just sit on the sofa and wait until I can see her." Seeing Ye Shen walking in so calmly, the 2 guards shouted to stop him. "Hold it! Is the CEO someone you can just see whenever you want?" Ye Shen didn't say a word. He just turned and glared at the 2 of them. Instantly, both men collapsed to the ground, terrified and confused about what had just happened. In that brief moment, they felt like they were on the brink of death. Ye Shen walked inside leisurely, calling out to them, "Choose your words carefully next time. You might as well just wear a sign that says, 'I'm an idiot.'" He went straight to the sofa and sat down. "Invite everyone else to leave." Just as Ye Shen began to radiate his killing aura, heavy footsteps thundered in. "What's going on here?" A man in a sharp suit approached, identifying himself as the head of the security department. He asked if Ye Shen had considered the consequences of causing trouble at Huame Group. Ye Shen was getting annoyed at having to repeat that he was only here to see CEO Xia. As he spoke, he exuded killing intent that made the security captain break into a cold sweat. I even felt that if he touched Ye Shen, everyone present would die. So he instinctively bowed and smiled at Ye Shen. "My apologies, sir. CEO Xie is not here today. Please leave your contact information, and I will call you as soon as she arrives." Seeing that Ye Shen seemed to believe him, the security captain was relieved, thinking he could send him away easily. But to his surprise, Ye Shen just sat back down to wait, simply because he was a guy, with time to kill. Having someone as dangerous as him planted there made the captain fear for his job. Since Ye Shen was alone, he decided to get his men to rush him. "Wait!" Just as the tension reached its peak, another beautiful woman appeared. Despite the life-threatening situation, the men around couldn't help but admire her beauty. This was the new director of the group, Sunji. The only person who could rival her looks was CEO Xiarushu. Director, this guy is very dangerous. I know, stay back. Sunji stepped forward to introduce herself to Yashin. Is there anything I can help you with? Facing Sunji, Yashin was stunned. She was one of the people he couldn't let go of from when he was in middle school. Yashin and Sunji were classmates, but a year later, due to the difference in their status, they lost touch. It wasn't until after the Yunhu Mountain Villa incident that Yashin was rescued and returned to his home once more. By that time, the Yi family estate had been sealed off, becoming a taboo that no one in Zhangcheng dared to mention. Every clan declared they were cutting ties with the Yi family and would no longer have any contact. The Tianzheng group, founded by his father, was also seized. Almost everyone was under the protection of the shadow of that man in the capital, but Sunji, disregarding the fear of her family, went to the morgue to retrieve the bodies of his parents for cremation. Later, a tomb for Yashin's family of 3 was built on Mount Qietian. To this day, he still doesn't understand how Sunji dared to do that and sacrifice so much for him. He never expected that they would meet again like this today. In his eyes, there was only the image of Sunji. She suddenly spoke, startling him. Sir, you're standing a bit too close. Yashin, feeling awkward, made an excuse that she looked like an old friend, which was why he was so lost in thought. Tanji laughed, saying that this way of picking up girls was from the 90s. She then gestured for them to let Ye Chen wait there for a moment, saying she would make it up to him for whatever trouble might arise. It had been many years, and Tanji was a different person now. She wasn't just a little orange anymore, she had evolved into 2 big oranges. Suddenly his gaze turned icy, that thing had appeared again. By the time Tanji got in the car, Ye Chen was already sitting comfortably in the back seat, which made her jump, asking him if something was wrong. Ye Chen begged for a ride, and Tanji was annoyed and confused, asking if he wasn't supposed to be waiting for Xiarushu. What's your name? I can't let someone in my car if I don't even know who they are. Ye Chen narrowed his eyes as he looked at her. Tanji's forehead was dark and gray, with even a trace of blood, a sign of a major disaster to come. Ye Chen had to do everything in his power to protect her. Ye Chen followed Tanji to a luxurious banquet at the Donghu Hotel. Tanji wore a black dress with a deep plunge that drew the gaze of everyone. All the men present were staring at her. However, they were confused as to why someone like Tanji would bring a guy dressed like Ye Chen to such a party. After arriving at a table, Tanji and Ye Chen sat down and a crowd of men flocked to them. Director Ton, I'm Quach Hai, founder of the Van Sin Group. Director Ton, my name is Tai Dung, and the Haidong Hotel belongs to my family. They vied with each other, bragging about their wealth and thrusting glasses of wine in Tanji's face. She felt awkward, but suddenly Ye Chen snatched a glass from one of them, making an excuse to drink it for her since he was with her. The men were furious that their chance to toast the beauty was ruined, and their attitudes did a 180-degree turn. Who the hell do you think you are drinking with me? Damn it, what's your surname? Ye Chen's mouth twitched when they asked for his surname, and Tanji immediately stepped in before Ye Chen accidentally sent them all to hell, saying, That's not the way you... To stop me from drinking, leave this to me. With that, Tanji took the glass, her eyes shimmering as if they contained the entire galaxy. I'm not a good drinker. I can only take a sip. I hope you all understand. The men, mesmerized by Tanji's face, were more than satisfied and agreed without hesitation. Suddenly, a man with a vampire-like appearance walked toward Tanji. No one knew the background of this Tranfong, but he made Tanji turn cold in a split second. How was the second young master of the Tran family? Last time, Tanji had splashed wine in his face, successfully infuriating him, and now Tranfong held the wine bottle close to her. You left without saying goodbye last time, showing me no respect at all. You have to finish this whole bottle to apologize. This isn't a request, it's an order. Tanji forced a smile, lowering her voice, unwilling to drink his wine, as she had sensed something wrong with it last time. Fearing he was trying to drug her, she had splashed the wine in his face. Instinctively, Tranfong this time didn't seem to hide his perversion at all. I had even booked a luxury suite in advance, so that even if she got drunk, she would have a place to stay. Tanji broke into a cold sweat, not knowing how to handle it. Everyone knew this guy's character. Any woman who caught his eye was fair game, even if she wasn't 18 yet. Seeing Tanji standing there stunned, Tranfong lost his patience and resorted to violence. Damn it, you dare not take my drink? You stinking bitch, don't play innocent in front of me. Even if Rouge were here today, she'd have to drink. Tanji was born into an ordinary family, dropped out early to work hard in society, and it took a lot to get to the position of director. Although she was a superior in the eyes of others, compared to these big shots, she was nothing. Ye Chen grabbed the bottle from Tran Fong's hand, causing him to roar like a beast, and before he could do anything, Ye Chen smashed the bottle right into Tran Fong's face, forcing him to his knees, holding his face. "Ah, it hurts like hell! What the hell are you doing?" His eyes bulged, wine and blood streaming down. "Even my father has never dared to hit me. How dare you do this to me? Who are you to force her to drink?" Right then, the head of the Tran family, Tran Chan Kwok, rushed over, furious to see Ye Chen pinning his son Tran Fong down, while those around them worried for Ye Chen. Because not only was Tran Chan Kwok there, but he had also brought an old man with him. He looked extraordinary. Tran Fong looked up with tears streaming down his face. "Dad, save me!" Meanwhile, Tanji was panicking, trying to figure out how to save Ye Chen from this mess. If he wanted it, he could have it. Ye Chen let go of Tran Fong's head, and the guy scrambled toward his father to whine. Ye Chen, meanwhile, was focused on the old man accompanying Tran Chan Kwok. People who radiated that kind of blue energy were likely what people called martial artists. Tran Fong yelled at his father to demand justice. Tran Chan Kwok's face darkened, telling him to shut his mouth and step back. Immediately after, he turned to the old man beside him, his voice softening, which showed that this old man was no ordinary person. "Old man, could you please look into this guy's background?" The old man was showing off his newly manicured nails, his voice arrogant. In his eyes, the boy was a martial artist too, but judging by his age, he guessed he hadn't been in the world for long. "Well, do you like it?" Ye Chen asked Tran Chan Kwok directly. Having been humiliated, the man couldn't just apologize and walk away. Tran Chan Kwok put his hand on Old Min's shoulder, both old men clearly intent on taking Ye Chen's life. Old Min calmly walked toward Ye Chen, saying, "You're young and have a long future ahead. Cultivation is not easy, but you've touched someone you shouldn't have." Suddenly, Old Min lunged at him like a bullet, placing his hand on Ye Chen's shoulder. His face was full of arrogance, thinking he was the main character. "Kneel down and beg, and I might leave you with an intact body." Tanji stood outside, her eyes unable to keep up with Old Min's speed. Despite the chaos, Ye Chen showed no fear. Instead, he grabbed a fistful of Old Ming's hair and taunted the old man. "Decided on your coffin yet? Need me to have someone deliver it for you?" He clearly knew how to push the old man's buttons. Old Ming had finally snapped. He lunged at Ye Chen with his claws, but Ye Chen dodged, then delivered a brutal punch straight to his mouth. "Respect your elders? What kind of garbage is that? Especially when it's an old geezer, who still wants to act like a tough guy." Ye Chen wasn't holding back. One punch later, Old Ming was out cold on the ground. Everyone watching had their jaws on the floor. Their eyes couldn't even keep up with what happened before it was already over. Watching Ye Chen casually stick his hands in his pockets as if nothing happened, everyone thought the same thing. Too strong. The Tran father and son were pale with fear. Old Ming was a big name in the circle after all. And yet, he'd been knocked out cold by one punch from Ye Chen. After 5 minutes of being unconscious, the old man scrambled up, clutching his bleeding mouth. "Who the hell are you? How do you have this much power?" "If you're so desperate to know, I'm happy to answer. Who am I? You aren't worthy of knowing." His voice boomed with a sonic-like intensity. It left Old Ming so shocked his eyes rolled back. The people around them clutched their ears in pain, completely baffled. Suddenly, Ye Chen appeared right in front of the Tran father and son. Tran Fong instinctively covered his arm. Just a moment ago, Tran Chan Kwok had bragged about Ye Chen leaving with one less arm. Now who was the one who should be saying that? Seeing the murderous look in Ye Chen's eyes, Tran Chan Kwok stumbled back and ordered his bodyguards to stop him. The guards shoved each other, terrified, not daring to step up. But fearing for their jobs, they grit their teeth and risked it. "Boss, run! Make sure to give us a raise." No sooner than they said that, Ye Chen sent the whole lot of them flying through the air with one hit. Those who aren't martial artists should really stay out of the way before they get dragged into this. At this point, the Tran father and son pulled their final move, kneeling down to beg for peace. "Big brother, have mercy. I'll go and properly discipline this idiot son of mine." Watching them kneel with such lightning speed only made Ye Chen's killing intent grow. Still, he had other things to deal with. Just as tensions peaked, a voice rang out. "Stop! A female police officer arrived with a special ops unit, ordering Ye Shen to step away from the two on the ground. But when she saw who was kneeling there, she froze. "What on earth did you do?" she wondered. Tran Chan Kwok was overjoyed, thinking he'd been saved. After all, martial artists usually don't mean much when faced with real authority. The officer glanced at old Ming, recognizing him as the Tran family's martial artist. It didn't take long for her to figure out that Ye Shin was behind it all. Suddenly, Ye Shin grabbed Tran Chan Kwok by the head and hauled him up, making the man wince in pain. "Officer, this guy was harassing innocent women. I'm just doing a good deed here. You should open your eyes and look properly." The officer raised her gun and ordered Ye Shin to let him go. Ye Shin just smirked at how stubborn the team captain was. "This is a personal grudge. You'd better not get involved." The officer was speechless. Even if she didn't want to get involved, as an officer, she had to handle it, even if she had to yell. She ordered him to get on the ground, warning him for a second time. This time, the entire special ops team aimed their weapons at Ye Shin. He was annoyed at being interrupted, his aura flaring up again. Just as he was about to strike, Tanji ran over and grabbed his arm. "Sorry about that, everyone. His limbs are just a bit slow, must be a cramp." Tanji whispered in Ye Shin's ear, begging him to stop here. If he didn't stop, she'd have to cut ties with him. Cut ties? Over people like this? Ye Shin was furious, but he still listened to Tanji. She told him to relax and listen to her. Once they got to the station, he just had to explain his side of the story and they'd be fine. After all, it was self-defense. Ye Shin smirked, saying it didn't matter, because even if he wanted to leave, no one could stop him anyway. That night, the captain checked the hotel surveillance. Her subordinates reported that after reviewing the footage over 10 times, besides the deleted portions, everything showed Ye Shin acting in self-defense. The captain focused on the deleted segment. The moment old Ming was talking to Ye Shin, and a minute later, the old man was on the ground. During that time, the camera didn't record anything. The officer gasped. They had arrived at the scene so quickly, yet someone had still managed to delete the crucial footage. She guessed he had a powerful backer. Without enough evidence, she had to conclude it was self-defense and release him. That night, Tanji happily left the station, proudly telling him, "See? Listening to me wasn't wrong, right?" Seeing her trying to act like she was fine, Ye Shin felt a bit troubled. Tran Chan Kwok and his father were definitely a threat to Tanji. Once he left Zhongtan, they would surely go after her. In the future, he had to find time to deal with those two for good. Meanwhile, Tanji felt an unexplainable, dangerous aura radiating from Ye Shin, but she didn't dare ask about it. Tanji staring at him, Ye Shin teased her. Tanji stuttered, saying she just wanted to take him home. Ye Shin scratched his head. Since he was new, he didn't have a place to stay yet. "If not, I guess I'll just sleep in the park tonight. Man proposes, God disposes." Tanji suggested he stay at her place. It wasn't big, but it beat the park. Ye Shin teased her even more after hearing that. "Did the hero saving the damsel today make you want to repay me with your body?" Who wants that? Are you staying or not?" Just then, they walked past the officer's car. She really couldn't understand how the Tran family's bodyguards, all retired special forces, looked like helpless little kids in front of him. Relying on herself alone, it was hard to figure it out. She called someone she referred to as her senior brother to ask for a favor. Up on the peaks of the Ural Mountains in Siberia, this burly guy was sleeping while lifting weights. I was annoyed by the phone call. It turned out this was the senior brother she was calling for help, Ung Kin. He wondered why she was so involved with police work given her family background. "Making me act as your sidekick for these investigations all day. What a waste of a Dragon Soul assault team captain," he grumbled, though Yingjing still helped the policewoman. He reviewed the security footage of Ye Chen's brawl at the hotel, noticing the bodyguards moved exactly like retired special forces, yet they were ganging up on a young man like Ye Chen. But when he saw Ye Chen push back the entire crowd with one hand, Yingjing was stunned. Looking at Ye Chen's appearance, no one would guess he was an ancient martial artist, let alone that he was actually a martial Dao grandmaster standing on the highest peak. Yingjing's face darkened instantly, and he demanded the policewoman provide him with all information on Ye Chen. That evening, Ye Chen returned to Tanji's apartment in Jiangcheng. Tanji came out after her shower wearing only a bathrobe. She really had no guard up against this stranger. Facing him, Ye Chen entered the bathroom, revealing a rock-hard six-pack that only the readers are lucky enough to see. While showering, he fell deep into thoughts about what happened 5 years ago. Being saved by his master felt like a stroke of luck at first, but it turned out to be the beginning of a nightmare. The first day, the old man threw him into a cage. He had to fight a starving tiger with his bare hands for 3 days to survive. Ye Chen obviously survived, but because of that, his master's training methods became increasingly brutal. His training grounds changed every day, but they all shared one thing. They were death traps. Each time he had to face desperate situations, teetering on the edge of the grave. To survive until now, the thing driving him every day was bottomless hatred. He would definitely hunt down everyone who was present at that banquet in Manhwa, at the mountain villa back then, making them all pay for what they did. Outside, Tanji was cutting fruit for dessert when she suddenly remembered she didn't have any clothes for Ye Chen to change into. Speaking of clothes, the image of her padded bra popped into her head, sitting right there in the laundry basket. She couldn't let him see that. Panicked, Tanji rushed in and opened the bathroom door. Ye Chen, wait! I need to get something. Get what? Ye Chen opened the door coldly, catching Tanji off guard. The only towel wrapped around him slipped down, and Tanji blushed and turned away to run. She sprinted back to her room, climbed into bed and tossed and turned, telling herself, I didn't see anything, except for Ye Chen's middle leg. Standing outside, Ye Chen knew Tanji wouldn't open the door again tonight. That was fine. He had some business to take care of anyway. Who knows what it was that made Ye Chen's killing intent flood the entire place? Empty contextual connection. The previous line covers the thought process. That night, at the Tran family villa, Tran Chan Kwok was pacing back and forth impatiently in front of Tran Fong, making him dizzy. As soon as Tran Fong started to whine, a few words, he was shouted down by Tran Chan Kwok. If it weren't for a useless piece of trash like you, why would Elderman have become a cripple? Now that Elderman is gone and the old man isn't here either. The Tran family is in danger! Tran Fong, whose head was bandaged and seeing stars from the beating, didn't dare talk back. Tran Chan Kwok felt a strange sense of panic, even with the Tran family patriarch watching over them. But as long as he didn't eliminate Ye Chen, he couldn't sleep soundly. After hearing Tran Chan Kwok say he would go to Vodi Mountain tomorrow to invite the Tran family patriarch out of seclusion, Tran Fong cheered joyfully, thinking his grandfather would deal with Ye Chen. He was convinced that by then, he would surely break his limbs right in front of him and slowly torment Tanji. You dare touch my woman? Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Hearing Ye Chen's voice, the father and son felt as if they were hearing a call from hell. Ye Chen sat down on a chair calmly, wanting to have a chat with the two of them. Tran Chan Kwok was still arrogant, thinking Ye Chen wouldn't dare push them too far. Since he wanted to provoke him, Ye Chen had to show a little of his power. Ye Chen unleashed an invisible purple energy. Tran Fong, who was still talking, instantly stopped breathing. You think I don't dare kill? Well, do you still feel that way now? Ye Chen coldly threw Tran Fong's body to the ground. Tran Chan Kwok was a mess of tears and snot, not understanding why he attacked them when there was no grudge or enmity between them. Ye Chen chuckled when he heard the words, no grudge or enmity. Let me ask you, Tran Chan Kwok, do you still remember the banquet at Manhwa Mountain Villa 5 years ago, the death of the Ye family couple, and that incredibly poisonous mouth of yours? Only then did Tran Chan Kwok realize Ye Chen was the child from back then who had fallen into the river and was never found. Ye Chen gripped his face tightly. Before sending Tran Chan Kwok to join his son in the afterlife, he whispered a secret. Actually, I am not an ancient martial artist like you think. I am a cultivator. Hearing this, Tran Chan Kwok was even more shocked. In their eyes, martial arts might be heaven, but in the eyes of a cultivator, even if he had a martial Dao grandmaster, or an entire sect behind him, Ye Chen could still slice them in two with a single sword stroke. After saying that, Ye Chen slammed his head down, shattering the floor. The two Tran men were dead on the spot. At that moment, on a rocky outcrop of Vodi Mountain, Tran Guinla was in deep cultivation when he suddenly coughed up blood. His eyes widened in rage, because this was the sign that Tran Chan Kwok and Tran Fong had died. Tran Guinla roared like a beast. I swear to the heavens, I will personally find the one who killed my Zhongcheng clan members and destroy the foundation of the one who ruined my family. Early the next morning, Ye Chen woke up after a night of cultivation. He took a deep breath and hopped out of bed. Ye Chen felt that the spiritual energy in Huaxia was too thin. It couldn't compare to where he used to train. If he wanted to break through further, he needed to refine some supportive pills. In 1 week, it would be the anniversary of his parents' death. He would have to make a trip to Tiandong Mountain by then. The black stone in his hand was the 51st birthday gift his father gave him, saying it was a family heirloom of the Ye family. As it turned out, until now, it had just been an ordinary pitch-black rock. Suddenly, today, Ye Chen felt a red inscription on the stone. The text consisted of only 2 words: blood offering. Curious, Ye Chen tried dropping a single drop of blood onto the surface of the stone. Immediately, his body became heavy, his vision went black, and he couldn't resist. Ye Chen seemed to be transported into the middle of a war-torn graveyard filled with graves and swords. Clutching his throbbing head, he crawled up. Black smoke surrounded Ye Chen. As he looked closely, he realized he was currently in the reincarnation tomb, a place he had never set foot in before. The swords embedded in the ground suddenly flew into the air along with the increasingly dense purple smoke. In the sky, 2 fiery red eyes appeared, like the face of a demon. It even spoke. "A late-stage Earth realm brat like you dares to step into the reincarnation tomb? You can't even trigger the obsessions of the weakest tombstone in this graveyard. If you don't want to die, get lost." A swarm of such demons lunged toward Ye Chen as if to devour him, and he jolted awake from the nightmare. Covered in sweat, he picked up that stone. Based on his experience, this must be the ancient artifact his old master had mentioned. Hearing the sounds those spirits made, he realized that once his cultivation reached a certain level, he would be able to trigger the obsessions of the powerful figures within those tombstones. But Ye Chen was skeptical. There were 100 tombstones in the reincarnation graveyard. Could there really be 100 legendary experts? While he was lost in thought, Sundi knocked on the door to invite him to breakfast. She had woken up early to make a very elaborate meal for him. Homemade burgers. Ye Chen teased her while munching on his burger. "You're so good to me, it makes me not want to leave. How about I offer myself to you? I can do the dishes, cook, and even keep your bed warm during the winter." Sundi laughed, saying she had heated blankets in the winter and didn't need him for that. But if he wanted to stay, he would have to pay rent. Mentioning money reminded him he was broke. Hearing that, Sundi thought he wanted her to support him, but suddenly, Ye Chen grabbed a napkin and started scribbling something. He handed her the napkin with the words, "Basic Beauty Elixir," written on it, chin held high, claiming it was the recipe for it. Though it's a low-grade formula, it's enough to sustain a company. Paying rent won't be a problem. Sundi twitched her mouth. This thing could sustain a company? Do you have some misunderstanding about what a company is? Of course not. The Huame Group focuses on beauty. Once you hand this prescription to the technical department, they'll realize its true value. Just then, Sheruja called Sundi. Sundi anxiously took the call, surprised to be urgently summoned to an S-class conference. After hanging up, Sundi turned to bid Ye Chen farewell, not forgetting to warn him not to talk nonsense anymore and go find a real job. Ye Chen was speechless. It seemed the rumor that traditional medicine was no longer popular was true. But since she told him to look for work, he had no choice. Ye Chen immediately set up a street stall to sell rejuvenation wine. On the opening day, he offered a special 20% discount, promised to cure all diseases, and started his consultation fee at 100,000. No cure, no pay. Passers-by gathered, not for a checkup, but out of curiosity, wondering which mental hospital had let Ye Chen out. Hearing them talk about calling the police, Ye Chen planned to bolt. Just then, a young woman pushed through the crowd toward him. "Yukon artist, come with me!" Ye Chen got into a Mercedes and followed her home. Unexpectedly, it was a massive mansion in the heart of the capital. Realizing he had landed a big fish, Ye Chen casually flexed. "Miss, don't worry. With me here, I guarantee a full recovery." But to his surprise, she wasn't looking for him to treat an illness, which caught him off guard. She was Shen Mengjia, the eldest daughter of the Shen family. Today, she sought out Ye Chen because of his unpracticed talent for lying. Feeling insulted, Ye Chen turned to leave, but when Shen Mengjia pulled out a $100,000 check, he did a 180-degree turn. "Miss, what are your orders? I am willing to brave any danger for you." Only then did Shen Mengjia explain the situation. Her father was truly ill. Even the doctors had given up and told the family to prepare for the end. Her parents were very close, and she feared that if one left, the other would lose the will to live. So, Shen Mengjia invited Ye Chen to pose as a miracle healer to take her father up the mountain for treatment before he passed. She believed that if they got through this period, her mother would eventually accept her husband's departure. Yushin was speechless at her story. That's not how you use filial piety. But with you here, things will be different. Ye Chen patted his chest. Eldest miss, don't worry. I will complete this mission perfectly. Shen Mengjia cheered happily. That's great! Now I don't need to call the police. It seems that if Ye Chen had refused just now, he would already be behind bars. After leading Ye Chen inside, she kept whispering reminders, telling him to stick to the script and watch her cues. Entering her father's room was the moment. She couldn't hold back her vulnerability. Dad, it's me, I'm back. Ye Chen observed and immediately saw the dire situation. The patient was entering the gates of death. No wonder modern medicine couldn't save him. Death. Qi filled his chest. Once it reached his head, even the bodhisattva couldn't save his soul. According to Shen Mengjia, last month, her father, Shen Haihua, was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. Even the best hospitals abroad couldn't do anything. Later, they invited the divine Dr. Q from the capital, but yesterday, he concluded her father only had 3 days left. Thus, the only option was to rely on Ye Chen so her mother wouldn't know the truth. Money was no object for the Shen family. Just then, her mother walked in, teary-eyed. Mengjia, the divine Dr. Q said your father won't make it through today. Is that true? Shen Mengjia had previously colluded with Dr. Q to keep it a secret, but for some reason, he betrayed her. Just then, a blond man leaning against the door spoke up. Mengjia, one must be honest. Life, aging, sickness, and death are natural. How can you lie to Mom? Shen Menglong, her older brother, spoke up, saying he had already arranged the funeral to give Shen Haihua a grand send-off. Shen Mengjia turned toward, I'm so frustrated with her brother. Doesn't he realize their mother is in poor health? Tam Monglong acts so optimistic, claiming death is just a form of liberation. A truly filial daughter would never stand by while her father suffers. She waits for the moment she takes over the house, vowing never to treat her parents poorly. Tham Mongjia's mother surely couldn't take this blow. She'll likely follow Tam Haihua once he passes. Deepthan watches the scene, his lip curling. That guy Tam Monglong only cares about the inheritance. Tam Haihua left behind, wanting to claim it all for himself. Tham Mongjia wonders if that man is even her brother anymore. Just for some money, he wants to stress his own mother to death to get a bigger cut. Tham Monglong turns hostile, snapping at his sister. You lowlife! If she wants to die, why should I stop her? Say that one more time and see if I don't tear your mouth apart. Tham Monglong rushes forward, but Deepthan lands a clean punch straight to his face, keeping it real with the living. Right before their eyes, the house has descended into total chaos. Ko, the master doctor, stands by, fuming and cursing at Deepthan. Who are you, kid? Do you have any idea that this young master will soon be the head of the Tam family? Deepthan just holds up one finger. 10 million. I can cure Tam Haihua immediately. After that, everyone wait outside. Deepthan Tam Mongjia is stunned. He's taking advantage of the situation to extort 10 million. Now she has no idea how he plans to pull this off in front of her mother. Tham Monglong continues his act as the filial son, muttering accusations against Tam Mongjia for bringing in a quack just to split the inheritance. If Tham Haihua dies, she'll have to take the fall, and he'll make sure Deepthan rots in jail. Now, only Deepthan and Tam Haihua are left in the room. As long as you've met me, you're a long way from dying. His master taught him medical arts, so profound they could pull Tam Haihua back from the brink of death. Deepthan waves his hands, summoning golden talismans that circle him in the air. Heaven and earth, mysterious and yellow, spirits and demons, cast the ritual to return the soul. As he finishes, the talismans shift from him to Tam Haihua. He can clearly see the death aura surrounding him. It's strangling him, keeping him from life. Every meridian is blocked, with only one pulse barely clinging to existence. Yet, it's the final ray of hope. Deepthan pulls out all his acupuncture needles, striking them straight into the life meridians on Tam Haihua's body. The death aura is being forced out. He clenches his fist decisively, causing the death aura to dissipate completely, leaving nothing behind. Tam Haihua slumps onto the bed while Deepthan is left physically exhausted. Taking a life is easy. Saving one is hard. Looks like I still need to practice. Deepthan calmly walks out to collect his payment. Tom Hai Hua is just about to wake up inside. Tham Mong Jia's mother happily hands over the card containing 10 million to Deep Thon. The password is 6 zeros. Suddenly, Tham Mong Long snatches the card, protesting, "Mom, get a grip. He has stage 4 cancer. How could he possibly be cured?" "Kid, 10 million isn't so easy to take." Tham Mong Long points a finger at Deep Than's face, only for Deep Than to grab his hand, making him blush with pain. Deep Than twists his arm back and takes the card. "This money is what I earned for the treatment. Tham Hai Hua will definitely wake up, but he can only live for 3 more days. After that, without my medicine, even the heavens couldn't save him." Tham Mong Long clutches his throbbing arm, cursing everyone. "This guy! He dared to hit me and rob me! I'm calling the police!" Kao, the master doctor, immediately tries to calm him, saying he has connections at the station who will definitely help him deal with Diepthan. Just then, Tham Hai Hoa opens the door and walks out, leaving everyone stunned, especially Tham Mong Long, who wonders if he's seeing a man or a ghost. How is he still alive? Hai Hoa steps out, calling for Diepthan. Seeing his wife and daughter seeking a miracle doctor to save him, he feels nothing but happiness and pride. Conversely, when he looks at his good-for-nothing son, Tham Hai Hoa's expression darkens. "Don't think I don't know what you animal have been doing while I was sick. From today on, don't expect to get a single cent from me." Meanwhile, at the Homai Corporation, an emergency meeting is held regarding their plummeting stock prices. They have no idea how they'll survive the coming days. Their competitor has released a beauty product with miraculous results. If Homai doesn't launch a new product soon, they'll be crushed in this cutthroat market. Tondai sits in the middle of the meeting, burning with anxiety, not knowing how to handle this situation. Maybe it was from the stress, but her chest started itching. Tondai sneakily reached in to check, and to her surprise, pulled out the paper Deep Than had written on that morning. Even more surprising, she didn't realize when she had tucked it right between her breasts. Putting that aside, Tondai suddenly recalled him saying, "This formula is worth 10 million. Maybe there's a chance." Just then, a woman appeared out of nowhere and snatched the paper from her. "Let me see what kind of treasure you're hiding in your bra." Tondi is startled when she realizes it's Tona, the most obnoxious woman in the company. Tona reads the name Elementary Beauty Pill and laughs mockingly, asking Tondai if she's been scammed into valuing such junk. "Is that why you slept with someone for this garbage?" Tondai's face hardens at her venomous words. "Not every woman uses her body to exchange for money like you, Tona." Tona not only refuses to return the paper, she cruelly tears it to shreds right in front of her. Tondai can't take it anymore. She lunges forward and pushes her. "Don't go too far. Even if it's just a scrap of paper, it's mine." The people in the office look as if they see this scene every single day. The two women scratch and pull at each other, neither backing down. Just when no one knew how to stop these two shrews, CEO Hanyu Tweet walks in. Her whole body is radiating anger. "Tondi, Tona, you two look very free, don't you?" After restoring order, the CEO begins the meeting. Everyone present knows the purpose of this emergency session. The competitors are producing cutting-edge potions, while Hoamai's products have seen no progress for so many years. The people in the room look at each other in confusion, unable to provide a valid reason. Hanyu Tweet slams the table in anger. "Over the past 3 years, do you have any idea how much money the R&D department has swallowed without producing results? The R&D team doesn't just sit there and take it. They argue they've done their best, but they still haven't found a better substitute. That's right. Our department has even spent money traveling all over the world to buy formulas, but beauty formulas have always been scarce since ancient times, and they're only getting rarer. Even if we combed through all the ancient texts, we wouldn't find anything suitable." Listening to their excuses, CEO Ha lowered her voice a bit. "It wasn't entirely their fault. But you've spent so many years building the largest beauty conglomerate in Zhang City. Are you really going to just give up now because your parents are forcing you to back out?" Suddenly, Tona spoke up, her tone dripping with mockery. "Isn't it just a skincare formula?" CEO Ton has plenty more in his hands. Just a moment ago, he was holding something called Bamboo Beauty Elixir or whatever. A researcher recognized the name from the formula mentioned by the Big Seven. The expert on the Bamboo Beauty Elixir was overjoyed. "CEO Ha, if CEO Ton really has that formula, the company is saved." Hanyu Tweet was visibly thrilled, but Tonji didn't dare take credit immediately. After all, the formula was something Deep Than had just scribbled down that morning. How could she possibly trust it? CEO Ha didn't care. She wanted to see the formula immediately. Tonji scrambled to gather the scraps of paper that Tona had torn up and placed them on the table. My apologies, CEO Ha, this was just my friend messing around. Now it had ended up like this. The people in the room saw the formula written on the crumpled, torn napkin and doubted its reliability. Tona laughed to herself. Tonji's little display was no different than treating Hanyu Tweet like an idiot. Just wait. The researcher picked up a piece of paper and examined it closely. This formula, it's the real deal. He slammed the table in anger, even louder than CEO Ha, because he had just seen Tona rip up the very formula that could save the entire corporation. CEO Ha immediately ordered Tona to be demoted. If this formula cannot be reconstructed, you will be held fully responsible, Tona. Tona laughed, only to be slapped in the face by reality moments later. She honestly claimed she didn't know the formula was that important. Of course I knew. Our company's original flagship formula was developed based on this very medication. The researcher puffed out his chest, looking cool as he guaranteed a breakthrough in quality once the paper was restored. Ha! Nhu Tuyet regained her hope for the company's future and ordered everyone to start collecting the torn pieces of paper in the room. Tona went pale as a sheet. She never expected such a coincidence to happen in this life. The moment CEO Ha called her name, Tona jumped out of her skin. Ha Nhu Tuyet's gaze felt like a laser, scanning her from head to toe. So the formula is real, but which crazy blind idiot tore it up? Get out of here if you're that bored. The shop is short a clerk to help customers shop. You can go over there and help out instead. Tona was petrified on the spot. She never expected that a split second of impulsiveness would cost her everything. That evening, Tonji returned home to find Deep Than, but he was nowhere to be seen. She couldn't believe the formula he gave her was actually authentic. Suddenly feeling guilty, she sat on the sofa reflecting on everything. Tonji realized she knew absolutely nothing about Deep Than. He had single-handedly taken on a whole squad of retired Special Forces soldiers, and then he just casually scribbled out an ancient formula. Now Tonji was starting to get creeped out. The funniest part was that she had been letting a man who was both a complete stranger and extremely dangerous stay in her house. She was terrified that if she ever exposed Deep Than's true face, he might just silence her on the spot. Suddenly, a hand landed on Tonji's head, making her jump. Deep Than? She heard him call her name, but he didn't say anything, which made her curious. After they both sat down on the couch to calm their nerves, Tonji wanted to say something, but she kept stammering and hesitating, which was infuriating to watch. Deep Than looked at her with a confused expression. He had already tidied up the house properly, hadn't he? Tonji took a deep breath and enunciated every word. Actually, I want to apologize. The formula you gave me, someone tore it up. If you could... Deep Than was speechless. What he wrote for her was just the most basic introductory formula. Was she complaining that it wasn't effective enough? If that was the case, he'd just write 80 more for her to gawk at. Seeing that Tonji didn't say anything, Deep Than used the excuse of being sleepy and headed to his room. She chased after him and grabbed his arm. Finally, she admitted she needed his help. Deep Than broke into a cold sweat, not knowing what the girl was going to ask of him. But even if she asked him to strip naked, he would have agreed. Tonji. She remembered how Deep Than had wanted to meet Hanyu Tuet, but now that the CEO herself wanted to meet him, she would arrange it. Deep Than's expression turned to one of disgust. He wasn't the same person he was yesterday. You need me to go see her? Is she even worth it? Tonji was confused. Just the other day, he had stood up to an entire security team just to see Hanyu Tuet. Deep Than crossed his arms. I have my standards too. Since CEO Ha didn't even bother to acknowledge me the other day, I don't care to see her anymore either. Tonji tried to carefully choose her words to sweet-talk Deep Than. Finally, he agreed to meet CEO Ha, but with one condition. Tell your CEO to come see me in person. Whether I meet her after that depends on my mood. Having said that, Deep Than walked straight into his room, leaving Tonji no chance to say another word. Later, she called to report the news to Hanyu Tuet. Even though she was asked to come in person, the CEO didn't seem angry at all. On the contrary, she found Deep Than incredibly interesting. Just the other day, he was causing a scene at the reception desk to see her, and now he was playing hard to get? She wanted to see what kind of man he really was. The next morning, Deep Than had arrived at the largest pharmacy in the city. Nandak Duong was truly a famous establishment. People were lined up to check in like it was a popular nightclub. Deep Than walked around observing and stopped in front of a painting of a white tiger in the middle of the store. Compared to today's knockoffs, I guess it's decent enough. His comment reached the ears of Chow Nan Dak, the shop owner, and his granddaughter, Chow Tu Uyen. Tu Uyen immediately snapped with an unpleasant tone, saying, Deep Than must be a country bumpkin who just arrived in the city. How dare you call our store's goods fakes? Chow Nan Dak stopped his granddaughter's sharp tongue and turned to ask Deep Than why he claimed it was a fake. Because this painting has already been studied by many collectors. Deep Than sighed. The fact that this knockoff can fool so many people just goes to show that all of you are blind as bats. However, since this painting can fool so many experts, you might as well keep it for show. I actually thought I could find something decent in this shop. Looks like I've been overthinking this. Chow Tu Uyen had been holding back for a while, but she couldn't take it anymore. She was determined to teach Deep Than a lesson for his arrogant mouth. Chow Nan Dak, Chow. Standing on the sidelines, he told her not to lay a hand on an ordinary person, but it seemed they were truly blind to the truth. Chow Tu Uyen lunged forward, attacking Deep Than with a kick, while her grandfather couldn't even stop her in time. She had trained with top-tier fighters, and a single kick from her could kill a man. Who would have expected Deep Than to catch her petite foot with one hand, leaving her completely stunned? Frozen in midair. What is this? Is that all you've got? Chow Tu Uyen had once kicked through 2 solid sandbags with one leg. She couldn't believe she had been stopped so easily. Has this young lady had enough yet? Deep Than's question brought her back to reality. His expression turned truly mischievous. Bad kids need to be taught a lesson. He grabbed her leg and slammed her head toward the ground. Deep Than hadn't expected to run into ancient martial artists here. Unfortunately, this fighting style was only meant for men. If a woman like her kept practicing for a few more years, she would likely end up crippled. Being thrown like a sandbag deeply wounded Chow Tu Uyen's pride. She immediately turned to Chow Nan Dak to complain. Chow Nan Dak quickly told her to stop. Can't you tell who is standing in front of you? Deep Than didn't even use his internal energy to block your kick just now. With your cat-scratch martial arts, if he hadn't gone easy on you, your bones would be crushed to dust by now. Chow Tu Uyen was still defiant, turning to continue the spar with Deep Than. Deep Than chuckled. Then what counts as using internal energy? A thick, terrifying purple aura erupted from Deep Than, enveloping Chow Tu Uyen, who instinctively backed away. Her legs went weak, causing her to collapse to the ground. Tears welled up in her eyes as she told her grandfather to run away. Chow Nan Dak coughed a few times to save face, then bowed to apologize to Deep Than for Chow Tu Uyen's attitude, now fully aware of Deep Than's true power. Chow Nan Dak wanted to ask him about the painting on the wall. Since the old man was sincere, Deep Than decided to open his eyes. Let's see. Deep Than used his aura to reveal the hidden inscription on the painting. I wonder which idiot will buy this fake painting. Loon Nguyen, 2002. This painting was indeed hard to distinguish from the real one, which is why the forger dared to sign it so brazenly. One only needs to channel internal energy to make the hidden text appear. At sunset, Chow Tu Uyen brought the medicine Deep Than had asked for. She even had to call him Mr. Diep, respectfully. Deep Than took the prescription and offered his thanks, but it sounded like he was mocking her. Chow Tu Uyen twitched her lips, replying, It is my honor to serve you, Mr. Diep. This medicine is very rare. I hope you brought enough money, Mr. Chow. You're quite quick-witted, but I still prefer that defiant look you had earlier. Deep Than's words made Chow Tu Uyen show her true colors. If her master were here, she would definitely make him regret it. At this point, Chow Nan Dak had to knock some sense into his granddaughter. He could tell that Deep Than's strength was not at all inferior to her master's. He then turned back, hoping Deep Than would forgive his foolish granddaughter. The shop had all the herbs on his list, but the volume was quite large, so it would take a few days. As an apology, he offered the herbs for free. Deep Than didn't see the need. He had recently acquired a card with 10 million, so he wasn't going to starve. Besides, he didn't want some lady saying he took things for free from her family shop. After Deep Than left, Chow Nan Dak's face darkened. If that boy was truly from the Deep family, he feared that this city would not be peaceful in the near future. On the way back, Deep Than realized a few ants were tailing him. It was a good time to blow off some steam. Back at the shop, Chow Tu Uyen still didn't believe in Deep Than's true power. Talk about him not being inferior to her master? Actually, I misspoke. Chow Nan Dak corrected himself. It wasn't that Deep Than was not inferior to her master, it was that he was far beyond him. His appearance meant a new grandmaster had emerged. Legend has it that a martial arts grandmaster can wipe out an entire well-trained armored unit with his bare hands. They treat heavy weapons like toys. In their eyes, ordinary people are just ants. Chao Tu Uyen broke into a cold sweat. But Deep Than is so young. How could he possibly be a martial arts grandmaster? Indeed, but Deep Than's existence is even more terrifying than a grandmaster. If he lives for another 25 years, I fear there will be no one left in this world who can stand against him. The Chow family must, under no circumstances, become his enemy. Back to the guy tailing Deep Than. He was certain this was the divine Dr. Tam Hai Hua was looking for. As long as he followed him, the reward would surely be his. Suddenly, Deep Than turned into a small alley, making him worry he had been spotted. When he ran after him, the alley was empty. While he was bewildered, Deep Than lunged down from above, gripping his head tightly. Looking for me? Behave and give me a reason not to kill you. Unexpectedly, the guy spilled everything. His name was Pham Dong, a private detective. This month he helped some rich jerk find his wife who ran off with a neighbor, blah blah blah. Deep Than yelled angrily, "Stop talking nonsense! Who sent you?" Pham Dong immediately confessed it was Tam Hai Hua. I was offering a reward across the entire Zhang city. Whoever found him would get 1 million. Deep Than finally remembered he only gave the man 3 days to live. No wonder he was so desperate to find him. Pham Dong tried to invite Deep Than to come with him, saying they could split the reward, but Deep Than just turned his back on him. He told him to go back and tell Tam Hai Hua, if he wants to live, he should stop playing these games. Pham Dong looked blankly. Tam Hai Hua didn't know where to find Deep Than, so he had to resort to hiring detectives. He begged for a meeting, saying it was a matter of life and death. When Deep Than got home, he saw Tanji putting on makeup and getting dressed up. It turned out she wanted to take him out for a walk. The clothes he had on were from several chapters ago and he still hadn't changed. Besides, you need to get a new iPhone for emergencies. While Deep Than finds it bothersome, Tonji certainly doesn't. If you're worried about the money, she'll pay for everything. Once at the mall, Deep Than tried on several outfits at once. Every single one brought out his cold, dominant aura. Tonji stood by, clapping and praising him. If Deep Than walked through his university campus now, girls would definitely be lining up to talk to him. Deep Than smirked. He wasn't exactly someone who relied on his looks to get by. Tonji then deliberately asked if he had a girlfriend yet. She offered to introduce him to some stunning single women, but Deep Than had never even thought about that. For the past 5 years, he had been obsessed with training, struggling just to stay alive, let alone finding a lover. But 5 years ago, before his family was wiped out, Deep Than had once liked a girl. She was the school beauty, so Thuk Nyen, chased after by everyone. Back then, he was so head over heels that he gave her a love letter, but unexpectedly, she wrote a reply. She said if he confessed his love in front of the whole school during the flag-raising ceremony, she would agree to go out with him. Naive at the time, Deep Than did exactly that, only for her to humiliate him and reject him in front of everyone. It was all just a trap to mock him. Since then, Deep Than became insecure and hit rock bottom. Perhaps back then he really was a loser, but now, even with the So family standing among the 4 great families, the Zhangcheng family meant absolutely nothing to him. The anger caused Deep Than's killing intent to surge. Tonji could feel it too, fearing her previous remark had wounded his pride. She quickly tried to make amends, saying, "Being single doesn't mean anything. I've never been with anyone either. Haven't I been doing just fine?" "What are you rambling about?" Deep Than said, nudging Tonji's head as they went to buy more clothes, wondering what kind of bizarre image of him she had conjured up in her head now. As they were walking, a couple blocked their path. The woman with red hair looked quite vulgar, walking with a man old enough to be her father. "Well, if it isn't Tonji? Long time no see. Do you have a boyfriend now?" Deep Than recognized her. It was Ha Thien, who used to follow So Thuk Nyen around. Ha Thien looked him up and down and then mocked Tonji. "Back in school, you used to hang out with that loser Deep Than. Now your boyfriend is still wearing cheap off-the-rack clothes? Are you only into poor trash? Wait, this Ha Thien has sharp eyes, doesn't she?" The man following her chimed in, recognizing Deep Than's resemblance to his former self. Ha Thien then began recounting the story of how Deep Than confessed to So Thuk Nyen in front of the whole school and was rejected, how he was too ashamed to come to school anymore. Ha! Then his family was wiped out. He must have died long ago. Otherwise, Thuk Nien would still be having fun messing with him. Deep Than clenched his fists, his killing intent already thick. That dog mouth of hers must never be allowed to open again. Just as he was about to rush forward, Tonji stopped him, suggesting they continue shopping instead. When Ha Thien saw them walking through the mall, she brought up money again to look down on them. She turned to the old man beside her, acting spoiled. "Ah, Tuan, I want to buy a few outfits too, is that okay? Tonight I'll wear them for you and we can even bring along some friends to spice things up." Ignoring this infuriating couple, Deep Than and Tonji went elsewhere. Deep Than could have handled them, but he didn't know why she stopped him. Tonji pointed at a vest nearby to distract him. "You'd look great in that." The sales clerk jumped at the opportunity to pitch it, saying it was the store's most high-end piece, costing 360,000. That price made Tonji choke on her own breath. She'd heard this store was expensive, but she didn't expect it to be that high. Her card only had 300,000 left. Tonji tried to brush it off, saying the outfit didn't really suit him. For some reason, Ha Thien popped up again to provoke them. "Ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. Tonji, if you don't have the money, just say so. Don't act like it doesn't suit him. Who are you trying to fool?" Tonji was embarrassed but stayed firm, refusing to lose. Ha Thien kept pacing, bringing up how Tonji's younger brother didn't even finish high school because her family was broke. "Do you want to hit me? Do you know that my friend is So Thuk Nien? Don't even think about staying in Jiangcheng later. Go ahead, hit me." Her face looked more and more repulsive. Just as she wished, Deep Than slapped her right across the face, sending her flying several meters away. His whole body reeked of killing intent. I should have shut her mouth a long time ago. Ha Thien lay on the ground, slapped by Deep Than. The bystanders were frozen in shock. Tonji looked at Deep Than, sweating uncontrollably, her mouth trembling, unable to speak. As for Ah Tuan, he was completely stunned. He had been planning to live stream the show, but the drama had exceeded his wildest imagination. Ha Thien clutched her swollen cheek, looking at Deep Than with teary, hateful eyes and shouting, "You dare hit me? Do you know that So Thuk Nien and the So family are my best friends? Do you know who my boyfriend is?" Right now, all she could think about was tearing the Deep family's house and graves to the ground. Deep Than calmly replied, "What does that have to do with me?" He looked straight into her furious eyes. Ah Tuan pointed at Deep Than and said, "I am the chief operations officer of the Bakdan Group, earning 5 million a year. A high-quality man like me is a level of existence that poor trash like you can't touch." Hearing Ah Tuan brag, Ha Thien, with her swollen cheek, crawled over to hug his leg. Well, he was talking big, but Ah Tuan's face had already turned gray. He was shaking, cowering in fear that Deep Than would come to beat him up. A deep voice rang out, "What big talk?" cutting through the noise of that couple. A man in a luxurious coat walked in, followed by a young man who was bowing and scraping behind him. His voice was full of fury. "Tam Hai Hua, today I want to see..." Hearing the name Tam Hai Hua, the annoying couple froze in terror. "Who dares to use the name of my Bakdan group to oppress Diep Than?" Tam Hai Hua's voice boomed powerfully. The young man behind him bowed even lower, breaking into a cold sweat and glancing at Ah Tuan with accusation. Ah Tuan, seeing Tam Hai Hua appear before his eyes, stuttered, "The president!" He was completely bewildered. The president? Isn't he supposed to be suffering from a terminal illness? Why is he here? Tondai stared at the big shot in front of her, stunned, wondering why such a powerful figure would show up here. If they were backing Ha Thien, the consequences would be unthinkable. Tuan immediately softened his tone, rubbing his hands together and saying, "Uncle Tam, I've often heard of you. I really admire you." Ha Thien also chimed in, "Uncle Tam, why are you here? Are you here to inspect the new project?" Tham Hai Hua didn't even bother to answer them. He brushed past the pair, ignoring Tuan and Q, who kept calling out to him, and walked straight to Deep Than. The CEO took Deep Than's hand and said with deep emotion, "Mr. Diep, I've had such a hard time finding you. If you hadn't appeared, I felt like I was about to die." Hearing Mr. Tham's heart-wrenching words to Deep Than, Tondai stood frozen, not believing her own eyes. Ha Thien leaned over to Tuan and whispered, "Did I see that right?" The CEO is acting so humble, like he's trying to get into Deep Than's good graces. Tuan stood there with his jaw dropped, unable to answer. Tondai was completely shocked by Deep Than. Didn't this guy just arrive in Jiangthan? How could he know a big shot like Tom Hua? Deep Than didn't care for the CEO's sweet talk. He gave him a sidelong glance and said coldly, I gave your family a chance to live before, but you didn't cherish it. Tom Hua broke into a smile, placed a hand over his heart, and said sincerely, I apologize, Mr. Diep. That good-for-nothing son of mine offended you, and I have already punished him. Now I'll have him apologize to you. After saying that, he glanced back and shouted in a stern voice, You brat! Haven't you crawled over here yet? Get on your knees for Mr. Diep! Tom Monglong stumbled forward, shouting, Yes! In front of Deep Than, his son knelt down on the ground and said clearly, Mr. Deep, it's my fault. Please, I beg you to forgive me. Tuan watched this scene with his jaw hitting the floor. I've followed Tom Monglong for so many years. I know his personality better than anyone. He's so arrogant. But now he's kneeling? He looked at Deep Than, trembling with fear. What is this guy's background? Could he be from Jiangnan province or some huge family? Deep Than didn't give the father and son any face. He turned to Ton Dai and said, Let's go. Let's go to the clothing store. I'm going to buy you some clothes. Deep Than held Ton Dai's hand and squeezed past the pair. Seeing this, Mr. Tam panicked and cried out, Ah, Mr. Diep! Tuan watched Diep Than's back, unable to believe what he was seeing. He's ignoring Tom Hua again? This is the first time I've ever seen anyone treat Tom Hua like he's nothing. Tuan shuddered. It seems Deep Than must belong to some huge family. Whose ancestor have I offended? Behind him, Tham Hua kept kicking Tam Monglong, cursing, Look at the mess you've made. If Mr. Diep doesn't forgive us, you'll be kneeling here for the rest of your life. Tuan, seeing Tham Monglong in such a miserable state, felt extremely pained. He turned to defend him. Uncle Tam, I think this must all be a misunderstanding. Mr. Tam growled. He spun around and slapped Tuan across the face, roaring, Misunderstanding, my foot! You dared to use the corporation's name to offend Mr. Diep. From today on, you and your father are fired. Tham Hua looked grim because Deep Than didn't care about him at all. In his mind, there was only one thought. My life is still in that man's hands. I don't want to die! I don't want to die! And so Tom Hua turned and left. Tuan watched the CEO's back and desperately called out, Mr. Diep, wait for me! Thian walked over to support him, whispering, Tuan, I think we really offended someone huge. Tuan cried out, We're done for! We're done for! Now I have nothing left! As dusk fell, Deep Than and Ton Dai left the mall. Ton Dai nudged Deep Than and said, You clearly couldn't even pay the rent. And yet you're giving me clothes? She looked at her hands, filled with bags from luxury shops. Ton Dai looked at Deep Than happily. Just this gesture alone makes me very happy. Deep Than sighed internally, thinking she still believed he was as poor as before, only buying discounted clothes, not knowing he had over 10 million in his hands. He looked at Ton Dai, touched. She really is a good girl. Behind them, a voice called out, Mr. Deep, and this young lady, please wait a moment. It was Tom Hua who had been chasing them. He raised his hand in greeting. Are you two having a pleasant stroll? Behind him, 2 bodyguards were holding gift boxes from luxury brands. Deep Than found him an eyesore. He gave him a sidelong glance and asked, What do you want? Tham Hua softened his tone. You misunderstood. I'm not looking for you. It's for the lady beside you. My company's staff insulted her. It's because I didn't manage them well. I came specifically to apologize. Please take these small gifts. Ton Dai looked at the 2 piles of gifts, embarrassed. How can I accept this? She remembered these clothes were ones she had tried on earlier and liked very much, but because they were too expensive, she couldn't bear to buy them. Deep Than laughed to himself. This Tom Hua knew he couldn't please him directly, so he went through Ton Dai to find a breakthrough. How interesting. So he spoke up. Tom Hua. The CEO heard this and replied respectfully, Mr. Diep, do you have any instructions? Deep Than walked past him and said, I'll give you one last chance. Tomorrow morning at 9, I'll come to the Tem family to treat your illness. Remember, I can save you, and I can also take your life. Hearing this, Tham Hua's eyes lit up. He stammered, Thank you, Mr. Diep. From now on, whatever you need, I am willing to do my best to help. Back at the villa, Thian was impatient. Thuk Nien, everything I said is true. It really is Deep Than. Even though his aura has changed, his appearance is very similar, and he even has the same name. Thuk Nien, unfazed by her companion's rush, calmly watered her plants and raised an eyebrow. Oh, really? He's back? As her voice rose, so Thuk Nien's face darkened immediately. Tam Hai Hua? I've dealt with this man before. He's very experienced and very prideful. She stroked her chin in thought. To make him bow to a young man, the other party must have a very high status or truly immense power. Hearing this, Hathian panicked. No way! Does that mean I'm a goner? So Thuk Nien laughed scornfully. That loser from back then, even if he's still alive, he's just a wanderer. How could he make Tam Hai Hua bow? Hathian asked fearfully. But Thuk Nien, what if he really is that Deep Than? So Thuk Nien said confidently. 5 years ago, he was a deep who only had to bow before me. 5 years later, the So family is still something he can only look up to. So Thuk Nien held up her pinky finger with a mocking glint in her eyes, looking at Deep Than as if he were nothing more than a speck of dust compared to her, right there at the Dai Do apartment complex. When Deep Than and Tondai got back with their bags of stuff, it was already pitch black outside. Tondai eagerly laid out all the gifts from Tam Hai Hua and joyfully asked, Deep Than, tell me the truth. How long have you known Tam? Toon? You're amazing! How did you get so many clothes? They're all designer brands that I usually wouldn't even dream of buying. Deep Than chuckled softly. Ha ha! As long as you're happy, that's all that matters. Tondai suddenly remembered something and asked, Oh, by the way, are you really not going to see Hanyu Tuyet? Deep Than's expression darkened the moment he heard that name. He was clearly annoyed. Why do you have to bring up that buzzkill? Go have fun yourself, I'm going to watch some TV. Tondai nudged him playfully. Just teasing you, but she's the grand lady of the Ha family in Jiangnan, a true beauty. How can you resist that? Deep Than didn't answer. He silently turned on the TV to the news. A report came on. 2 male bodies had been found in a local villa, including the son of Tran Fong. Police had preliminarily ruled it a vicious conspiracy-driven murder. Tondai's face went pale as she heard the news. Tran Ching Kwok and his son are both dead? Oh my God. I was so worried the Tran family would come for revenge these past few days, but I didn't expect, Deep Than laughed coldly. Some people do too many evil things and make enemies everywhere. It's only natural they end up like that. He turned around and boasted, Of course I did it. I'm actually a high-level assassin. Roof jumping and wall climbing is child's play for me. Tondai immediately shut down his wild talk. Stop spouting nonsense. What if you get caught? In her heart, she thought. This guy can hold his own in a fight. But he definitely wouldn't dare kill anyone. She turned away, clutching her bags of clothes, and stuck her tongue out at him. Whatever, I'm going to try these on. Don't you dare peek, Deep Than sighed. If I told her the truth, no one would believe me. Afterward, he left the apartment and bought some random items from a nearby pharmacy. This should be just enough for tonight's cultivation. Suddenly, he stopped, narrowing his eyes as he looked ahead. A white-haired woman stood before him. Good evening, Deep Than. We meet again. She smiled at him. Deep Than recognized her and thought to himself, This woman is such a nuisance. Better to keep my distance. He brushed past her. Sorry, I'm busy. The policewoman followed up. Was it you who dealt with the Tran family? Deep Than kept walking. She landed a critical blow. The Deep family deserved to die. Hearing that, Deep Than spun around, his face twisted with rage. Spiritual energy surged around him, and the white-haired woman was visibly thrilled. I never imagined a powerhouse like you would be that boy from back then. The trash of the Deep family. She spat out those 4 words with pure contempt. Deep Than reached out and grabbed her by the throat. What did you just say? The white-haired woman couldn't smile anymore. She felt a genuine chill of fear. Even though she had trained in ancient martial arts, she couldn't bring herself to resist him. She choked out, There are some things I can't explain right now. I just wanted to have a meal with you. Seeing she was scared, Deep Than let go and started walking away. Before leaving, he coldly replied, No need. My landlord is already having dinner with me. The white-haired woman didn't listen. She was still gasping for air, clutching her neck. As Deep Than walked away, she pondered. At his age, he already passed the prime window for martial arts training. Even if he had been training recklessly for the past 5 years, there's no way he could be this strong. She looked around, deeply suspicious. What exactly happened to him in those 5 years? Deep then walked for a while, and upon returning to the apartment, he went straight to the kitchen. He had brought back some medicinal herbs and started sorting them out on the counter. Deep Than decided that while Tondai was asleep, he would borrow her microwave to refine some pills. A moment later, the microwave emitted a cloud of smoke. He grumbled to himself, "This is so difficult. I should have brought the old man's furnace." Deep Than pulled the pills out of the microwave, looking at them with disappointment. Only 5 successful ones? Then he reconsidered, but this is more than enough to treat Tam Hai Hua. The next morning at the Daidu apartments, Tondai woke up, yawning as she walked out of her room. Rubbing her eyes, she saw Deep Than already putting on his shoes to leave. Tondai asked curiously, "Deep Than, where are you going so early?" Deep Than answered with a noble air, "Saving lives and healing the sick. If anything happens, call me." With that, he walked out and closed the door. Tondi pouted, "He's always spouting nonsense. I doesn't look anything like a doctor." She paused, thinking, "But he does have that secret formula for the beauty pills. Maybe he really does know a bit of medicine." She sat on the sofa, lost in thought. The anniversary of the Deep family's death is coming up. I'll probably be the only one visiting the memorial again this year. The more she thought about it, the more she pitied the Deep family. Why were they wiped out so suddenly? Uncle Diep was such an upright man. Depthan is also such a kind soul. Just outside the apartment entrance, Tam Mongia was waiting by a luxurious car. It was her first time in a neighborhood for the middle class. She looked around, unfamiliar with the surroundings. Her elegant, refined aura drew the attention of everyone walking by. 2 scruffy-looking men standing at the gate started gossiping. "Hey, brother, do you think that beauty is waiting for a man or a woman?" The fat one replied, "Obviously a man. Let me analyze this. A wealthy young lady like that would only wait for a man if she were a kept woman. If it were a beauty being supported, she'd be waiting for someone driving a BMW. She's definitely strong-willed and wouldn't humble herself for just any man. Wow, you're a genius, brother." Typical loser mindset, assuming every pretty woman with money is a sugar baby. Genius, my foot. Deep Than joined the conversation. "I think your analysis is completely wrong." The chubby guy was confused and asked why they were talking like that. The other guy found it interesting and told them to go into more detail. Yashin gave a scornful laugh. "I just know she wouldn't be here waiting for you two." Those 2 guys immediately flew into a rage. The chubby one introduced himself. "I am the god of love, who has conquered several hundred beautiful girls. In this game and that game." The guy in the red shirt also puffed out his chest proudly, looking down on him. "Do you know who you're talking to? I am the self-proclaimed prince of lady killers." They pointed at Yashin's face and asked, "Who the hell are you? What exactly are you up to?" Yashin replied calmly, "I really don't understand women." He looked extremely smug, pointing at himself, and declared heroically, "But at least I know that girl is waiting for me." The chubby guy looked at him and laughed mockingly. "Waiting for you? If you want to pick up girls, you should look in a mirror first. A handsome guy like me doesn't even dare to go up and say hello." The red-shirted guy clutched his stomach and laughed. "A beauty driving a luxury car is waiting here for someone like you? You're killing me." When Shen Mengjia heard the noise, she turned around and saw Yashin, then exclaimed, "Mr. Yeah!" Those 2 losers looked at each other, confused. "Mr. Yeah? Does he have the last name Yeah?" The chubby guy felt embarrassed. He quickly said, "No, not me. I'm surnamed Niu." Shen Mengjia ran over, happy to see him, and called out, "Mr. Yeah, you're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time." Those 2 guys turned to look at Ye Shen. Could it be him? They puffed out their chests and laughed arrogantly. Shen Mengjia ran up and took Yeshin's hand, politely saying, "I'm so sorry." "I'm late." Shen Mengjia shook her head. "It's enough that I've waited for you." After that, the 2 of them happily left. Shen Mengjia quietly asked Yeshin, "Are those 2 friends of yours, Mr. Ya?" Yeshin answered, purposely speaking loudly, "I don't know them. I think they called themselves something like the Saint of Love or a Prince." Shen Mengjia covered her mouth, looking at those 2 with disdain. "Oh, Mr. Ye, you have to be careful. Recently, there have been a lot of strange people coming in and out of this area." The 2 guys saw this and turned sour, silent, and humiliated. They never expected that they were the real clowns. They arrived at the Shen family mansion. Shen Mengjia attentively led Yeshin inside to meet her father. Yeshin handed Shen Haihua 5 medicinal pills he had made just yesterday. The CEO took them, examining them with a bit of hesitation. He asked, "Mr. Ye, do I really only need to take this medicine to recover? I don't need acupuncture or any other treatment." Mrs. Shen thought Yeshin was worried about her husband's frail body, so he didn't dare to perform any special therapies. She said, "Surgery is fine too. Old Shen and I can handle it." Yeshin said loud and clear, "Eat all 5 of them. Swallow them straight down." Hearing this, Shen Haihua's eyes widened in surprise. After hesitating for a moment, he put all 5 pills into his mouth. As he struggled to swallow them all, the medicine began to take effect immediately. Old Shen stood up and shouted, "Ah! Ah! Ah!" His whole body began to radiate a golden energy, like a Super Saiyan. Mrs. Shen saw this and tremblingly called out to her husband. Old Shen felt extremely warm and light inside. He hugged his body, closing his eyes to feel it. As he swallowed, the rich aroma of the medicine exploded within his body, and his whole being felt like a warm current surrounding him, a comfort he had never known before. Shen Haihua clutched his chest, looking up at the sky. He hummed, "What a feeling. It's even more intense than the fusion of life force." Mrs. Shen saw old Shen's unserious behavior and reminded her husband not to talk nonsense. Shen Mengjia was suspicious. Could it be some kind of stimulant? Shen Haihua walked over and held Ye Shen's hand, saying sentimentally, "Mr. Ye, Shen Haihua will never forget the debt of saving my life." Shen Mengjia saw her father in such high spirits and also wore a joyful smile. After that, the CEO offered a bank card to Ye Shen with both hands and generously said, "This is 1 billion for the medical treatment. Please accept it." Holding the money in his hand, Ye Shen also smiled and said, "Taking money to save a life, it's just a transaction. No need to thank me." Shen Haihua continued, "I, Shen, have a vacant house at the Great Metropolis apartment complex. It's a waste to leave it empty." An assistant brought a gold tray over to him. The CEO continued, "This is the key. Please accept it, Mr. Ye. I hope you will do me the honor of having a meal with me." Ye Shen took the house key and thought, "A house of my own is actually quite useful. It's convenient for storing herbs." As he was hesitating about the meal, he reconsidered, "Wait a minute. If Shen Haihua is a person in the business circle, he must know a lot of business intelligence. For example, the Tianzheng Group. The Tianzheng Group was founded by my father single-handedly and was his life's work. After the Yi family incident, it was taken over by others. I've tried to investigate the whereabouts of the Tianzheng Group, but I haven't been able to find any information. If it's Shen Haihua, he might know." Thinking this, he said, "I'll take the house. As for eating with you, I'll set the time. How about tomorrow night? Are you free?" Shen Haihua was overjoyed when he heard this. He said loudly, "I'm free. Being invited by Mr. Ye is my honor. I will definitely be there." Ye Shen left, satisfied. "All right then. See you tomorrow." Above the wooden door was carved in big, clear letters, Ren de Tong, Benevolence Hall. Somewhere inside Ren de Tong, 10 large and small bags of raw materials were stacked in a corner. While Yishin was examining the pile of materials, someone suddenly called out to him, "Mr. Ye, you've arrived!" Zhou Rende stepped out from outside toward Ye Shin, who was picking up a piece of the material to observe. He laughed and said, "These medicinal materials were just delivered. They are very fresh and have great medicinal potency." Ye Shen, after picking up another handful of materials to check, smiled with satisfaction. He praised, "Not bad. Both the quality and freshness are better than I thought. Let's settle the bill." Inside, he thought to himself, "Zhou Rende has some skills." Zhou Rende generously replied, "Mr. Ye, although I really want to give them to you, you probably wouldn't agree. We'll charge the cost price of 5 million. Ye Shen calculated in his head based on his market research on traditional medicine over the past few days. "This is not the cost price. This is clearly a loss-making price. This amount of medicine is worth at least 10 million. Remembering the arrogant look of his granddaughter, he sighed in his heart. "I'll let him pay this favor." "In that case, I accept your kindness," he replied. "By the way, where is your granddaughter? Why don't I see her today?" Hearing his question, Zhou Rende answered with some concern. "Jishan? She went mountain climbing with her master today and will be back a bit late. I actually wanted to have Zishon come to serve tea and apologize to Mr. Ye." But Ye Shen didn't pay much attention. He picked up a small notebook. Scribbling something hastily, Deep Than said dismissively, "That's not necessary. then tore off the piece of paper he'd just written on, handed it to Chao Nan and said, "Here, take this." Jeep then cautioned him carefully. "Wait for your granddaughter to come back and give her this note. If she doesn't understand it, give it to her master. This is extremely important to her." Chao Nan smiled happily as he accepted it and replied, "Sure, I'll definitely pass it on." He thought to himself, is Master Diep repaying a favor here? What on earth is on this piece of paper? Suddenly remembering something, Deepthan turned back to ask Chao Nan, "Oh, by the way, old Chao, I have a question for you. Do you know anywhere in Jiangthan where I can buy a pill refining furnace?" Recalling his own terrifying memories, he shuddered and exclaimed, "A pill refining furnace? That is a real pain to use," Chao Nan stammered, questioning the young man in front of him. Master Diep, don't tell me. Do you know how to refine pills?" He recalled everything he knew about alchemy. The more he thought about it, the more his brow furrowed. According to legend, the alchemists of Hoa vanished over 1,000 years ago. Chao Nan contemplated the terrifying implications of this. Although some medicinal pills circulate in the market, they were all left behind from 1,000 years ago and are incredibly precious. Some can even sell for billions. They are truly priceless. He continued to analyze internally. In reality, alchemists must still exist, but they are absolutely rare. Any martial arts family in Hua only needs one alchemist to support them, and within 3 years, they could become the leading family in Hua. Chao Nan began to break into a cold sweat as a thought flashed through his mind. Master Diep, you bought so many medicinal ingredients. Could it be for alchemy? If that's truly the case, his value is far beyond my imagination. Deepthan, hearing this, jumped as if his secret had been exposed and rolled his eyes to find a flimsy excuse. Old Chao, are you joking? How could I possibly know how to refine pills? I just like collecting furnaces as a hobby. It was an excuse that not even a dog would believe, but Chao Nan took it as the truth. He let out a sigh of relief and said, "Oh, is that so? If you're really interested, Master Diep, we can attend a large auction in 5 days. There will likely be one there." Deep then pondered for a moment. An auction, huh? Feeling satisfied, he turned and stepped outside, not forgetting to wave to Chao Nan and say, "Let's touch base when the time comes. I'll be heading off now. Just have the medicine delivered to the Daido apartment complex later." A while later, Tan Vian-min and Chao Tu-Uyen finally returned home. She cheered, "Grandpa, we're home!" Chao Nan turned his head to look at his granddaughter. "Tu-Uyen, you didn't give your master any trouble today, did you?" Chao Tu-Uyen pouted and replied, "What's that supposed to mean? You're always making groundless assumptions. Do I look like that kind of person?" Old Tan, standing nearby, could only laugh dryly. "Ha ha ha." Chao Nan was unsatisfied with that answer and scolded, "Last time you offended Diepthan, I told you to stay and apologize to him today, but you ran off first thing in the morning." Chao Tu-Uyen became angry when she heard that hateful name and shouted, Diepthan, you keep mentioning him all day. My master is way more impressive than him. He can break a large tree with a single palm strike." Tan Vian-min was very pleased with his student's praise, but he remained humble and taught Chao Tu-Uyen. "Haha, Tu-Uyen, don't talk like that. There is always someone better out there. I suspect that Master Diep surely has extraordinary qualities." Ignoring his granddaughter's stubborn attitude, Chao Nan took out the paper he received earlier and said, "I'm too lazy to argue with you. This is what Diepthan told me to give to you, saying it would be useful." Chao Tu-Uyen looked at the paper with half an eye, suspiciously asking, "For me?" After examining it for a while, she applied every bit of her limited mental capacity to try and figure it out. Helpless about her own intelligence, Chao Tu-Uyen furrowed her brow and said, "What is this written here? I don't understand it." Going back on her word, Chao Tu-Uyen cast the paper aside, pouting, "The handwriting is ugly. I'm not looking at it." Chao Nan shouted angrily, "This child!" Tan Vian-min reached out quickly to grab the paper and take a look. Old Tan muttered suspiciously, "This paper?" Tan Vian-min repeated Chao Nan's words with a puzzled look. "Useful for Tu-Uyen?" Then he carefully read the content on the paper. Old Tan's eyes suddenly widened in surprise. Astonished, he sputtered out, This paper! A high-level expert! It absolutely came from the hand of a high-level expert!" Tan Vian-min hurriedly called to the still confused Chao Nan, "Old Chao!" Usually calm, Old Tan was now urgently pleading. "Old Chao, quickly, let me meet this high-level expert!" He has done a great favor for both me and Tu Uyen. Chow Dak Nan, not understanding what was happening, asked in a panic, "What's wrong, old Tan?" Seeing Tan Vien Min's serious expression, like he had just lost his life savings, Chow Dak Nan asked anxiously, "What exactly is written on there?" Chow Tu Uyen was also a bit frightened and interrupted. "Master, that guy Diep Than isn't trying to hurt me, is he?" However, responding to the panic of the two, Tan Vien Min had now calmed down. He began the story. "There is something you don't know yet, old Tan," he continued gently. "The cultivation technique that Tu Uyen and I practice, the 7-yang heart method, is something I happened to obtain when I was young. But it is a flawed technique." Tan Vien Min recalled the past, how he had practiced it like Son Goku back in the day, and recounted, "When I first started practicing, it really did increase my power significantly. My realm advanced quickly." Then, old Tan lowered his voice and continued, "But the further I practiced, the more I discovered major problems, even affecting my internal organs." Hearing her master's story, Chow Tu Uyen realized a few things. She carefully remembered the last few days. Feeling a bit anxious, she speculated. "So that's it. No wonder I've always felt uncomfortable while practicing lately. Could it be the side effects of the flawed technique?" Tan Vien Min reached out to pat Tu Uyen's head to reassure her, then gently explained, "Tu Uyen, you don't need to be afraid. Your technique was only meant to give you a self-defense skill. Your cultivation level isn't deep, so the impact isn't significant." But old Tan's voice became serious when talking about himself. "On the contrary, I have practiced it much more. It's very likely that my internal organs will degenerate and I will die, unless I cripple my own cultivation." Hearing Tan Vien Min say that made Chow Dak Nan extremely worried. He spoke up, "Then what should we do?" In Chow Dak Nan's heart, he also began to be filled with chaotic thoughts and fears about the consequences. Old Tan had always protected this piece of the Chow family. Once something happened to him, the Chow family would certainly be affected. Burning with these negative thoughts, and Chow Dak Nan cursing his fate prematurely, old Tan laughed happily. "Ha ha, that was only in the past." Tan Vien Min was as happy as a child being given candy. Old Tan excitedly exclaimed, "With this complete prescription added to the paper, I've truly been saved by a master. From now on, I won't have to worry about the backlash anymore. Ha ha ha. Zishan, we have truly met a benefactor. Ha ha ha." Old Tan's words stirred a rare sense of fear and bewilderment in Zhou Zixuan's heart. She anxiously thought, a benefactor? Even my master speaks of him this way." Zhou Zixuan asked fearfully, "Ye Chen, who on earth are you?" Just then, at the Grand Metropolis apartment complex, looking at the magnificent villa in front of him, Ye Chen couldn't help but sigh. "I thought Shenhai Hua was only giving me a house. I didn't expect it to be such a massive one." Seeing the incredibly spacious kitchen fully equipped for cooking, he was genuinely surprised and let out a soft "oh." I then went to inspect the living room, nodding in approval and muttering, "Not bad, not bad," as he took in the space. It was also fully furnished with everything needed to host guests. After touring for a while, he suddenly stopped next to a crudely drawn picture of Pikachu, looked at it, and muttered, "It's well stocked. He's quite thoughtful, saving me the trouble of preparing things. But it's so big, and living here alone feels a bit lonely." As he said this, Yo-Chen suddenly felt a wave of sadness and thought to himself, "If Zunyi were here, that would be great." Then, he mentally recalled what she had said. "Hello? Ye Chen? I have to go back to my hometown for a trip. I probably won't be coming back." After remembering, he absent-mindedly rubbed his chin and continued to think. "I'm a bit worried about that girl. Back then, my home was smaller than this. But it was great because the whole family was harmonious and always so lively. Now I'm all alone." After that thought, Ye Chen couldn't help but feel sorrowful and whispered, "Tomorrow is my parents' death anniversary. Father, Mother, your child will definitely avenge you. I will crawl out from the depths of death and shine in the night. I will personally bring that man's head to your graves. I, Ye Chen, will one day make Jiang City tremble and make this land of China bow before me." Just as he finished speaking, a sound suddenly rang out from outside the door. Hearing the noise, he called out, "The medicine is here!" He then quickly opened the door and stepped out, seeing that the delivery company was indeed carefully moving crates of medicinal herbs down for him. Seeing this, he breathed a sigh of relief and thought to himself, "Thank goodness for this villa. Otherwise, there would be no place to put all this medicine." Suddenly, someone called out, Mr. Yeah, making Ye Chen jump slightly as he glanced over. I saw it was Shu Rinde. The old man continued, The medicine has arrived. Mr. Ye, if you need anything else, just say the word. Ye Chen quickly replied, No need, old Joe. Then he quickly cast his eyes toward the man standing next to him and thought, This person is a practitioner of ancient martial arts. The man quickly clasped his hands and bowed, saying, Mr. Ye, greetings. Ye Chen smiled faintly and replied, Thank you for the personal delivery. Everyone please come inside. When he asked who the man was surprised and exclaimed, Oh! Then he suddenly dropped to his knees and said gratefully, I am Tan Yuan Ming. Thank you, Grandmaster Ye, for saving my life. Hearing this, Shou Zixuan was startled and shouted, Master, get up! Tan Yuan Ming broke into a cold sweat and explained, Don't hide it from him. He is Zixuan's master. The 7 Yang mental method he corrected not only helped me break through my bottleneck, but also helped me avoid the danger of a backlash. From now on, you are Tan Yuan Ming's benefactor, Ye Chen said solemnly. That's just a small matter, but there is one thing I'm curious about. He scratched his head and asked, Why do you call me a grandmaster? Is a grandmaster very powerful? Hearing this, the man thought to himself, to be a martial arts grandmaster and not even know what the term means? He must truly be an expert with external energy projection. The ranking system is the foundation for all ancient martial artists. Ye Chen pretended to cough and embarrassedly explained, Cough, cough. I just came down from the mountain recently and am not familiar with the Chinese martial arts ranking system. I hope you can enlighten me. The man smiled sheepishly and replied, I see. If Grandmaster Ye was practicing in the mountains and hadn't entered the world, it's understandable that you wouldn't know. I dare say, Grandmaster Ye, in the Chinese martial arts system, there are 4 levels: external strength, internal strength, half-step transformation, and transformation grandmaster. Each level is divided into 3 stages: beginner, advanced, and peak. Someone like Zixuan is just entering the internal strength stage. But you, Grandmaster Ye, you are definitely a transformation grandmaster, the kind countless martial artists look up to. Hearing this, Ye Chen thought to himself, the categorization is different from what the old man told me, but that's normal. The cultivation method I practice and the surface-level Chinese martial arts are not on the same scale. Body tempering realm, foundation establishment realm, Kai movement realm, separation realm, true essence realm, spirit wandering realm. Each level has 9 tiers. Of course, there are even more terrifying realms beyond the spirit wandering realm. It's just that I haven't encountered them yet. Currently, I'm at the 5th tier of the body tempering realm. According to Tan Yuan Ming's classification for Chinese martial arts grandmasters, I must be somewhere between the foundation establishment and Kai movement realms, much stronger than I imagined. After thinking, Ye Chen asked, Are there many grandmasters in China? Then he thought to himself, I wonder what level those people in the capital are. Grandmaster or above, Tan Yuan Ming replied. I don't know the exact number, but I can confirm that most grandmasters are connected to the major Chinese families. Even though this is the era of technology and law, those who truly hold power all have martial arts experts by their sides. Zhou Rinde quickly added, like the 4 major families of Zhong City from strongest to weakest. They are the Su, Shao, Lu, and Chen families. Among them, even the weakest, the Chen family, had an old master who practiced in seclusion and was a grandmaster, he said regretfully. Unfortunately, a few days ago, the Chen family was wiped out by someone and was kicked out of the 4 major families, replaced by the Wan family. Ye Chen lowered his head and pondered. Zheng Gu used his family's old master to threaten me before he died. I wonder when that old man is coming back. Among the other families, the one who left the deepest impression on me was Su Shuran. Back then, if it weren't for her humiliation, I wouldn't have failed completely and been labeled a loser. Su Shuran, this time when I return, I must make you understand. If it weren't for her humiliation that year, I wouldn't have failed so completely and been branded a loser. Su Thuk Nyen, now that I'm back, I'm going to make you understand. Who is the truly untouchable supreme existence? Seeing the murderous aura radiating from Ye Chen, Tan Yuan Ming couldn't help but be inwardly shocked. How could the killing intent from Grandmaster Ye be this terrifying? How much blood must have stained his hands for someone his age to possess such power? Striding through the bustling, crowded street, Ye Chen muttered to himself, That girl, what on earth is she doing? I've called several times and she won't pick up. Ye Chen was worried sick. Could something have happened at home? If I don't hear anything by tomorrow, I'll have to find a way to track her down. Suddenly, his stomach growled like a tea kettle. Gurgle! Ye Chen shyly clutched his rumbling stomach, thinking, whatever, I'll just find a place to grab dinner first. Just then, his eyes caught a roadside food stall with 3 large characters on top. Seafood restaurant. Ye Chen pondered, this place? It was the restaurant owned by his good friend from school, Wang Yuheng. He still vividly remembered the great taste. He used to eat here all the time back in the day. He didn't expect it to still be open after all these years. That year, it was because he frequented this spot that he became friends with Wang Yuheng. Ye Chen thought to himself, even when I was at my lowest, he stayed by my side. Entering the shop, he noticed there wasn't a single soul inside. Ye Chen felt a sense of doubt. Business here was great back then. Why is there nobody here now? Ye Chen called out softly. Uncle Wang, give me a few skewers of your special barbecue and an extra soda. At this moment, an older woman approached and spoke in a low voice. I'm so sorry, young man. She hesitated, then said, Young man, it's just, we're closing down today. Go eat somewhere else. Ye Chen realized this was Aunt Zhang. She continued, We have to move today. If you get the chance, come support our new shop. Hearing this, Ye Chen was stunned. A shop that had been here for over 10 years, suddenly moving? He then noticed the bandage on Aunt Zhang's face. Ye Chen judged silently, she's hurt. Looks like someone hit her. Just then, Uncle Wang spoke up. Forget it. Stop driving the customer away. Aunt Zhang turned away, hesitant, but Uncle Wang quickly brought out a plate of food and said generously, This dish is on the house. He smiled and continued, Young man, if you want to be our very last customer, then I'll grant your wish. Looking at his bruised face, Ye Chen was shocked. Uncle Wang was hurt too. Uncle Wang and Aunt Zhang were a very loving couple. It couldn't have been domestic violence. Looking at the delicious food, Ye Chen couldn't help but drool. He forgot about the incident and excitedly exclaimed, Whoa! Uncle Wang said softly, Eat up and go. We won't charge you for this either. But you have to eat quickly. You really must be fast. Holding the meat skewer, Ye Chen happily realized, This taste, the same one from my childhood. Just as he opened his mouth to take a bite, a wooden chair came flying straight toward Ye Chen. With his current strength, he sensed it in time. Ye Chen countered quickly, destroying the wooden chair with just a few simple moves. He stood up powerfully, his whole body radiating an intimidating force. Uncle Wang behind him looked visibly worried. That group of thugs sneered, Yo! This brother here has decent skills. Seeing their mocking attitude, Ye Chen was furious. The head thug shouted, But today I'm not here for you. This shop is closed. Get lost now. They all looked like a bunch of gorillas. Uncle Wang and Aunt Zhang were stuttering in fear, and before they could even open their mouths, the red-haired thug aggressively scolded, Old Wang! Didn't you obediently pay us the protection money? How dare you still take customers? He grabbed Uncle Wang's shirt and barked, Do you not want this shop anymore? Uncle Wang said anxiously, Tiger, let us go, please. He continued, Look at this. Let us go. We're just a small business. We can't take any more abuse. Hearing that, the thugs burst into loud laughter. Ha ha! Don't think I don't know everything. He smirked and asked, Trying to run, are you? I've already looked into your new location. The red-haired thug threatened in a low voice, If you don't bring 50,000 in protection money tomorrow, I'll smash your new shop too. After finishing, he casually turned to leave. Ha ha ha! If the money isn't handed over within 24 hours, I'll cut off your livelihood. Glancing past Ye Chen, he didn't forget to mock him. Brother, I'm done with my business here. You can stop trying to get lost now, ha 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 ha. The 500 gang members behind him echoed the laughter. Ha ha ha! At this, Ye Chen growled, Did I tell you guys you could leave? Hearing this, the red-haired thug was momentarily startled. He turned to look at Ye Chen as if he couldn't believe his eyes. Are you talking to me? Ye Chen smirked. If I'm not talking to you, could I be talking to a dog? The red-haired thug flew into a rage and shouted, Do you know who I am? You little punk! Before he could finish, Ye Chen delivered a powerful slap. He said coldly, What's that got to do with me? Seeing the red-haired thug fall flat on his face, his underlings called out anxiously, Tiger boss! Boss! They were so scared their faces were pale as a sheet. That speed was too fast. We didn't even see how he attacked. Tiger Boss was... Just then, Ye Chen calmly crossed his arms and asked, "Is that it? One slap and you're down?" The gang leader was furious, grinding his teeth and hissed, "Damn it!" He jumped up, fiercely raising his fist, fueled by hatred toward Ye Chen. "Go to hell, you little punk!" The red-haired thug managed to scream only one word. "Ouch!" Ye Chen continued to school him. His strength sent the leader flying high into the air, headfirst through the ceiling. The underlings were so stunned they couldn't speak. "Tiger Boss, that was too intense." At this moment, Ye Chen called out, "Hey, you guys over there!" He threatened, "Scram on your own!" The whole group trembled, sweat pouring like rain down their ugly faces. Ye Chen glared, his eyes burning with murderous intent, and he continued his threat. "If you dare come here to cause trouble again, I, Ye Chen, guarantee that next time I won't be so gentle." Seeing the 500 gang members trembling like leaves in the autumn wind, Ye Chen scoffed, "Why are you all kneeling down?" After being beaten, many were smoked and terrified. They all obediently begged, "Big boss, please spare our lives. We won't dare do it again." Ye Chen asked coldly, "And then what?" The gang leader scrambled to answer, "I'm so sorry. We won't dare mess with Uncle Wong again. Please, just spare us. Have mercy." His gorilla-like face was now a mess of jagged cuts and bruises. Blood was dripping steadily. Deep Than grabbed the leader by the hair and growled, "If I ever see your face on this street again." Before he could finish, they chorused, "Yes, yes, we'll get lost. We're leaving right now." Deep Than glared at them with murderous intensity and barked, "Scram!" Hearing that, the 500 thugs helped each other scramble away. They didn't forget to keep babbling their thanks for being spared. Looking at the wrecked scene, Deep Than felt a bit awkward. He'd turned the shop into a complete disaster. He thought to himself, "I should have made that trash clean this up before they left." Just then Uncle Wong spoke up. Is that really you, Athan?" Uncle Yuong beamed with joy. "It really is Athan. You're actually still alive." Aunt Truong was so moved she started tearing up. Athan?" Deep Than was a bit surprised. "They recognized me?" Uncle Yung quickly asked. "Kid, you've been gone for so long." "Uncle Wong, how could I ever forget you?" Aunt Truong cut in. "Athan, it really is you. You've grown so tall, and you've changed so much. I almost didn't recognize you." They were overjoyed, saying over and over, "It's good you're back. It's so good you're back." Deep Than choked up. "Uncle Wong, Aunt Truong." He hesitated for a moment before saying, "Yeah, I'm home." After a while, Deep Than returned to the Daidu apartment complex. He opened the door and called out, "Tondai, are you home?" Seeing her, Deep Than said, "I called, but nobody picked up. I just found a decent place to eat. Let's go together later." However, the long-haired woman only let out a sharp cry. Hearing the strange voice, Deep Than realized he'd mistaken her for someone else. Staring at the woman with golden hair before him, Deep Than asked, "Who are you?" The woman glared at him. "Who am I?" Deep Than persisted. "I asked, who are you?" The blonde girl repeated, "What's the matter? Did you forget me just because you made a scene at our company's reception desk earlier?" Deep Than was stunned. "Hanyu Tuyet, why are you here?" Hanyu Tuyet explained, "Tondai is my best friend. I used to visit her place all the time, so for convenience, she gave me a key. What about you? How are you living here with her?" Deep Than replied awkwardly, I didn't have anywhere to stay, so she's my landlady now." He thought to himself, "This is Hanyu Tuyet? Why did the old man tell me to come and save her? Looking at her now, she seems perfectly fine. She doesn't look like she's facing any fatal disaster." Just then, Hanyu Tuyet gave a cryptic smile. "Miss Ton is more daring than I thought." Deep Than turned to pour some water and said coldly, "As you can see, Tondai isn't home right now. Is there something you couldn't have just talked about at the office?" Seeing his relaxed attitude, Hanyu Tuyet couldn't help but feel annoyed. "This guy is acting like this is his own house." Brushing that aside, Hanyu Tuyet asked anxiously, "I can't reach her. She didn't show up for the leadership meeting this afternoon either. Do you know where she went?" Hearing that, Deep Than was jolted. "You mean Tondi is missing?" I thought frantically. Even Hanyu Tuyet can't reach her. Could something have actually happened to Tondai? Could she be targeted by my enemies? No, I have to go find her. Seeing the dark look on his face, Hanyu Tuyet asked, Hey, what are you doing? Jeepthan replied coldly. That's none of your business. Hanyu Tweet shouted in anger. What? What? Didn't you want to find me? Now that I'm here, you're leaving? Jeepthan turned his head and warned in a low voice, Don't follow me. Then he strode out, leaving Hanyu Tweet standing in the small apartment, bewildered. She thought to herself, This guy really has some nerve. Hanyu Tweet was fuming. Jeepthan dared to speak to me like that. He's the first one to ever do it. He's just relying on the fact that he has that prescription. She bit her nails in anxiety. Hanyu Tweet wondered. I had a detective investigate him before, but his file was completely blank. She assumed this proved that his information was being shielded by someone else. An average person couldn't dig it up. Someone like him could be very useful to the corporation. But why does he treat me like a plague? Even though Jeepthan was incredibly irritating, Hanyu Tweet told herself she had to endure it. No matter how frustrated she felt, she had to hold it in. She left the Ha family and moved to Zhangthan to start her own business specifically to prove her worth. She couldn't act on impulse. His formula was too important. Being brushed off like this only made Hanyu Tweet more furious. How was the one who wanted to find me in the first place? Outside, Jeepthan didn't know where to turn. Zhangthan was huge. I don't have my own intelligence network, and searching for Tondai alone is a long shot. He worried. Even if I find her, I might be too late. Jeepthan pulled out his phone and muttered, I didn't want to have anything to do with him anymore, but it looks like I have no choice. At the same time, at the Theme Long building, sunlight bathed the towering structure. A man in a black suit was looking out over the crowded city. Suddenly, his phone rang. Ring, ring. The man used green mystical energy to summon the phone. He muttered to himself, the whole world. No more than 6 people know this number. The man answered and asked, Who is this? The voice on the other end replied, It's me. First off, don't even try to trace this call. Hearing the familiar voice, the man was shocked. Jeepthan casually shoved his hand in his pocket and continued, If I find out you've planted anyone around me again, I will take back everything I gave you, including your life. Jeepthan went straight to the point. Help me investigate someone. Her name is Tondai, General Manager of the whole My Group. She's been unreachable for 10 hours. I need to know where she is right now, if she's in danger, and what happened at the house. I want you to find out everything within 5 minutes. After ordering this, Jeepthan hung up with a beep. The man still couldn't believe his ears. 3 years, he told himself. 3 years I've been guarding this phone, every single day hoping the person would finally call me. And now, it's happened. The man smirked and whispered, The boss. Within just 1 month, he had already called to report the situation. Boss, cough, cough. I've tracked down information on Tuzi. The man relayed the details he had uncovered. At 11:35, she left the apartment complex, drove a car with license plate Jang 180TS, and headed to Zhangthan City No. 5 People's Hospital. The car is still parked in the hospital parking lot. According to the investigation in Zhangthan before 11:20, it was a medical emergency requiring immediate surgery. The surgery fee is 700,000. During that time, Tondi made calls to 3 people. The first was a pawn shop. She sold her car for 50,000. I have even more detailed information here. Do you need me to send it to you? Jeepthan replied coldly. No need. He thought to himself, So, something really did happen, Jeepthan muttered. But knowing where she is makes things easy to solve. At the same time, Tondai was at the Zhangthan No. 5 People's Hospital. Standing in front of the patient room, she couldn't hide her hesitation. She whispered to herself, I've already taken out all my savings. The car is sold too, and I'm still 300,000 short for Hao Chiet's surgery. Mom, Dad, is there really no other way? Facing her was her father, Ton Vin Kui. He said anxiously, The money in the house has all been taken out too. We can only ask your Uncle Ba to lend us some. He's made a lot of money in business over the years. Beside him, Tondai's mother, Truong Van Lan, was sobbing as she added, I've already called him. He should be here soon. Tondai thought anxiously. I guess the only option really is to turn to Uncle Ba's family. Her Uncle Ba was the wealthiest relative in the family. For years, he had always looked down on them, and she really didn't want to beg him. Just then, a voice rang out, making Tondai's whole family jump. Vin Kui! From the distance, 2 figures were approaching. They loudly exclaimed, Hao Chiet had such a serious accident. Why didn't you call us until now? Tondai softly said, Uncle Ba, Aunt Ba, thank you both for coming to help. The man wearing a leopard print shirt with gold bracelets all over his arms was Tondai's Uncle Ba, Ton Vin Phuc. The stylish woman with red stockings and a high-tied pink hairstyle was Tondai's Aunt Ba, Dong Sak Chow. After looking closely at their niece, Ton Vin Phuc couldn't help but be amazed. He thought to himself, I didn't expect this girl Tondai to have grown up so beautiful after not seeing her for a few years. Ton Vin Phuc's eyes lit up. He hadn't noticed it before. At that moment, Ton Vin Quy spoke up. Vin Phuc, you know the situation. I really have no other way now. Truong Van Lan, standing beside him, added, That's right, Vin Phuc. Please save Hao Chiet. We'll sell everything we have to pay you back. Taking a puff from his cigarette, Ton Vin Phuc let out a long, heavy sigh. Aye, what a pity. Ton Vin Phuc feigned difficulty and said, If this had happened a little earlier, that would have been great. Business is bad right now, and I don't have any extra cash. Deep down, he judged them, looking at their pathetic state. Can you even afford to pay me back? If I, old man, take out this money, wouldn't it be like throwing it away? At this point, Tondai spoke up with tears in her eyes. But Uncle Ba, if we don't go in for surgery soon, Hao Chiet will lose his life. Dong Sak Chow then spoke up. Husband, remember the last time we had dinner with CEO Lai? Ton Vin Phuc asked, confused. Dinner? Dong Sak Chow pushed up her sunglasses and said sharply, Didn't you jokingly say you wanted to introduce a partner for CEO Lai's dim-witted son? Dong Sak Chow continued with a hidden agenda. Tondai is so beautiful it would absolutely be no problem. Once the marriage is set, don't worry about whether CEO Lai will promote you. Hearing this, Ton Vin Phuc spoke loudly. That could work, he thought to himself. Why didn't I think of this? Although the son of CEO Lai isn't quite right in the head, he's a lecher. Tondai is definitely a perfect fit. Dong Sak Chow softly asked, Tondai, do you have a boyfriend? Tondai replied in confusion, I don't have a boyfriend. Dong Sak Chow immediately said excitedly, Well, that makes it easy. Dong Sak Chow tilted her head and said, Although your Uncle Ba's business hasn't been going well, but Hao Chiet's life is the most important thing. There is a way to come up with this money. Tondai asked in confusion, What does Aunt Ba mean by that? Dong Sak Chow got straight to the point. I heard that the son of CEO Lai in the construction business is looking for a match recently. If you marry into the Lai family, Dong Sak Chow continued, Don't even mention your brother's illness. In the future, the whole Ton family will have to rely on you. Hearing this, Tondai couldn't stop worrying. She was stunned as if she couldn't believe her own ears. Marry him? Dong Sak Chow insisted, If you marry into the Lai family, don't even mention your brother's illness. In the future, the entire Ton family will have to rely on you. Ton Vin Quy immediately stood up to protect Tondai. Sister-in-law, what are you saying? Are you trying to make me sell my daughter? Truong Van Lan also added, Tu Dai gave up her studies to work for this family and has sacrificed too much. I can't let her down anymore. Dong Sak Chow lightly pushed up her glasses and said, Don't put it so harshly. How is this selling your daughter? Everything depends on Tondai's choice. Who knows, maybe she would even want to marry him herself. Dong Sak Chow started using psychological tactics. Think about it. Hao Chiet is only 14. He has a long life ahead of him. Can you bear to watch him die? Dong Sak Chow whispered into Tondai's ear, You are his biological sister. You watched him grow up. Seeing Tondai's face darken, Ton Vin Quy blamed himself. I am such a failure as a father. Why didn't I risk my life to earn more money? Now my daughter has to suffer. Truong Van Lan helplessly said, Is this the fate of our family? Seeing this, Dong Sak Chow thought with delight, The show is working. Ton Vin Phuc tried to entice her. Marrying into a wealthy family is a good thing. Your family won't be short of money anymore. Dong Sak Chow added, You have to know. The future medical expenses for Hao Chiet are also a huge amount of money. Suddenly, a voice rang out, making the whole family jump. Who is trying to make my girlfriend get married? Tondai felt a glimmer of hope. Deep Than calmly shoved his hands into his pockets and spoke up. You silly girl. Why hide it from me that your younger brother is sick? Deep Than put on his best CEO persona. 97, you're being way too formal with your own boyfriend. Ton Vin Quy asked in surprise. He's Teungi's boyfriend? Truong Van Lan was also extremely confused. How come I've never heard her mention him? Deep then generously reached out and put his arm around Tondai, smiling as he said, What's the matter? You know her personality? She's just shy. Note, the original text had a broken sequence, merged into context above. Tondi cried out in surprise. Seeing the plan falling apart, Tonvinfuk angrily shouted, "Nonsense! Just a moment ago she said she didn't have a boyfriend." Dongsak Chow pointed her finger in anger. "Where did you come from, kid? Why are you pretending to be her boyfriend?" Deep Than turned to look at his fake girlfriend, then pointed to his own cheek. "Look, she doesn't believe us. Why don't you prove it to her?" Tondai felt embarrassed and thought to herself, "This jerk is here to solve my problems. I have to play along." She was silent for a moment, then gently pulled on Deep Than's shirt and planted a kiss on his cheek. Tonvinfuk couldn't help but be stunned. "What? I actually thought they were just normal friends. Are they really dating?" Dongsak Chow stuttered, unable to find the words. This is all just too sudden." Tonvinfuk immediately played a psychological game. "Tondai, you have to realize that the surgery cost is a huge amount. Not every man can just pull that kind of money out." Deep Than replied nonchalantly, "That 40-something thousand, I paid it on my way here. The surgery can happen any time." Dongsak Chow wasn't someone who was easily convinced, so she retorted sarcastically, 40,000 just paid it casually? You've got a big mouth." Tonvinfuk immediately demanded proof. "Where's the receipt? If you paid, you'd have a receipt." Deep Than started to sweat beads of cold sweat. Man, this person is really obsessed with details. I rushed here. How would I have time to pay the bill? If I had waited to pay, Tondai would have already given in to those two dogs. Deep Than crossed his arms and said, "Ahem, the money wasn't paid to the hospital, but given to the best physician in Jiangcheng. He will cure Hao Chiet." Dongsak Chow pushed up her glasses and said, "Physician Diep? There's no such thing as Physician Diep in Jiangcheng. Why have I never heard of him?" Deep Than thought, "That physician, that couldn't be me, could it?" Facing such scrutiny, Deep Than was briefly flustered. "Is this woman a detective? She's hard to fool." He stammered, It really is me." Tonvinfuk barked loudly, "If you're a divine doctor, then I'm an immortal." Dongsak Chow burst out laughing at the baseless claim. "You a divine doctor? Ha ha ha, you're killing me." Just then, the doctor sternly reminded them, "The patient's family members," he said calmly. "Please don't be loud and disturb the hospital." Recognizing the other person, Tonvinfuk was beyond shocked. "Physician Kao!" Tonvinfuk eagerly stepped forward to strike up a conversation. "Physician Kao! Long time no see. Do you remember me? I'm Tonvinfuk. We had dinner together last time." Physician Kao's eyes widened as if he had realized something. He brushed Tonvinfuk aside and exclaimed in surprise, "Physician Diep!" Physician Kao shook hands warmly with Deep Than, smiling. "I never expected to meet you here. What happened at the Tem family's house last time truly opened my eyes." Witnessing this, Tonvinfuk could only stare in shock. "That kid?" Tonvin Kui and Truong Van Lan were frozen in place. 2D's boyfriend is really... Even Tondai couldn't stop being surprised. "Physician Kao?" At this point, Deep Than still hadn't remembered who the doctor standing in front of him was. He wondered to himself, who is this guy again? Deep Than scratched his head. Then he greeted him softly. "Is that little Kao?" Deep Than asked gently, "Little Kao, where did we meet before?" Physician Kao replied awkwardly, Well," he whispered back, "it's me, from the Tem family home last time." Only then did Diep Than remember the doctor with the chubby face who appeared at the Tem family house. Ah! At this moment, Tonvin Kui still couldn't believe his eyes. A divine doctor? Truong Van Lan felt a glimmer of hope. She secretly wondered why 2D hadn't told them earlier. Deep Than praised him warmly. "So you aren't a fraud. I thought you were just a doctor who only knows how to scam wealthy people." Suddenly, Tonvinfuk asked loudly, "Physician Kao, you aren't joking, are you? A poor kid like that is worthy of you calling him a divine doctor?" Tonvinfuk smirked arrogantly. "He looks like a total con artist to me." Physician Kao had only been polite, but this kid was showing no respect. "This is it. We're done for." Physician Kao then sneered, "Mr. Diep, this person..." Deep Than replied, "Just a loud stranger, that's all." Hearing that, "Physician." Kao snapped his fingers and called for security. He continued, "These two have been loud and disturbing the treatment of other patients since a while ago." Immediately, two burly security guards grabbed Tonvinfuk and Dongsak Chow. Physician Cow glared. I suspect these two might be infected with rabies. To prevent the virus from spreading, I suggest we quarantine these two patients for humanitarian reasons. Following orders, the two security guards quickly carried the horrible couple away like sacks of potatoes. Dong Sak Cho yelled, "Put me down!" Ton Vin Phuc struggled while shouting, "Physician Cow, don't do this!" Just then, Diep Than put his arm around Physician Cow's shoulder and smiled in satisfaction. I didn't expect your medical skills to be mediocre, but your way of dealing with people is pretty ruthless, isn't it? Physician Cow replied, I've let Physician Diep see a joke. Who told them to dare to disrespect Physician Diep? At this point, Tondai tugged on his sleeve and called out to Diep Than. Tondai said weakly, please help us. We will definitely pay the rest of the surgery fees. Seeing this, Physician Cow suddenly realized that Ton Hao Chiet's sister was... He snapped his fingers and ordered his subordinates, prepare the medical records for the patient named Ton Hao Chiet. I will personally handle his surgery. The doctor replied, yes, Master Cow. Physician Cow turned to Diep Than and asked, Physician Diep, do you think this arrangement is okay? Diep Than said satisfactorily, well done. Tondai, standing nearby, happily thanked Dr. Cow. Diep Than put his arm around Physician Cow and asked, so you're going to be doing Hao Chiet's surgery later? Then you handle it? Facing this pressure, Physician Cow replied, Physician Diep, please rest assured. I will personally hold the scalpel. It will absolutely be no problem. Diep Than then handed him a piece of paper. This is a basic set of needle techniques. This could really take your medical skills to the next level, Dr. Cow exclaimed in shock. Diep Than whispered the instructions to him, and as Cow held the piece of paper, he couldn't stop shaking with amazement. This is the 7-needle blood circulation technique, which has been lost for a long time. With your guidance, my medical skills will definitely reach a new peak. At this moment, Diep Than pulled out his card and spoke. Oh, right. He asked, how much is the hospital bill? I'll pay for it right now. Dr. Cow quickly replied, No, absolutely not. I'm the lead surgeon. How could I take money from you? He put on a professional face and insisted, just leave everything to me. Tondai was slightly stunned by the surgical fees, and Truong Van Lon couldn't believe it either. Was it really resolved just like that? He said, actually, I'm the one who should be saying thank you. He smiled. Tondai's car sped down the dark road. Sitting in the car, Tondai asked, Diep Than, there's one thing I'm very curious about. Why would you help me like this? Why do you need to thank me? Just because I let you stay at my place? Hearing this, Diep Than said softly, perhaps tomorrow you'll know. Tondai asked curiously, tomorrow? What are you up to now? Diep Than just chuckled. Ha ha ha, just wait and see. Suddenly, Tondai asked anxiously, Diep Than, I suddenly feel so cold. Is the AC in the car broken? Hearing her, Diep Than realized this is killing intent. A powerful force was tracking them both. Diep Than said sternly, don't ask why. Everything I say next, you must listen carefully. Seeing him reach for the door handle, Tondai shouted anxiously, Diep Than, what are you doing? Diep Than opened the door and instructed, first, once I get out, floor it immediately and drive back to the apartment. Do not stop for anything. Remember, no matter what noises you hear or what you see, don't stop. Just keep driving. Tondai replied, okay. Diep Than continued, second, once you get home, immediately take my phone and hide in my room. Third, use my phone to call the top contact in the address book. He added, after the call connects, tell them to send the strongest people to your place within 30 minutes. If anyone tries to break in within those 30 minutes, don't resist. Just surrender and wait for me to save you. After saying this, Diep Than leaped out of the car. He landed firmly and watched Tondai's car drive away. Only then did Diep Than feel somewhat at ease. He thought to himself, the battles between martial artists are too much for normal people to handle. Keeping Tonda by my side is just more dangerous. Diep Than shoved his hands into his pockets. He turned his gaze toward the black car behind him and muttered, looks like going solo isn't enough. I still need to build my own power base. It would be much more convenient. His eyes flashed with intense killing intent. Time to welcome my opponents. At this moment, two figures stepped out of the black car, exuding immense energy. Diep Than glanced at the man in a sharp suit with an undercut, looking pretty flashy. This driver had some training, but he was nothing. Diep Than thought sternly, the only one here who can actually threaten me is that guy next to him. It was a man in traditional attire with long, flowing hair. The man spoke in a deep voice. Deep Than, that name sounds so familiar. 5 years, it's already been 5 years. I didn't expect anyone from the Deep family to still be alive. Deep Than replied calmly. If I'm not mistaken, you were involved in what happened at Van Han Manor 5 years ago. Did you come here today to kill me and silence me? Ju Kim Kok burst into laughter. Ha ha ha! Kill you? A piece of trash like you thinks you're worth me coming to silence? You think way too highly of yourself. Ha ha ha! Then he gave the order. Huin Kang, do it! The driver replied, Yes, sir. Huin Kang charged forward with intense momentum. He stomped his feet to gain leverage. Burn in the hell of our memories, he roared as flames of hatred consumed him, and he lunged toward Deep Than. Huin Kang shouted viciously, Die! However, Deep Than remained calm, dodging Huin Kang's blows as the man flew into a rage, swinging wildly from side to side, scratching left and right, screaming, Die, die, die! After letting his opponent flail in the air for a moment, Deep Than passed judgment. You really are pathetic. With that, he landed a direct blow to Huin Kang's chest and coldly sneered, Weak. The sheer force of the impact sent Huin Kang flying 10 meters backward, crashing face first into the dirt. Deep Kim Kok looked on, fuming and cursing. Useless trash, I gave you a chance, but you're utterly incompetent. Deep then assumed a stance, his voice cold and stern. Don't think you'll have an easy death like he did. Deep Kim Kok's eyes lit up with interest as he recognized the technique. Blood strike? He smirked. Kid, to have achieved this much, after only 5 years of training? If I let you keep growing, what will you become? Today, I, Deep Kim Kok, will make sure you die here, Deep Than retorted coldly. You talk too much, Deep Kim Kok bared his teeth viciously. 5 years ago, I was the one who led the men to slaughter your entire family. A brutal battle unfolded under the moonlight. Deep Kim Kok smirked to himself. Huin Kang was a half-step-master, yet he was killed in one hit. That shows you have some skills. Deep Kim Kok growled, but that's as far as you go. Deep Than narrowed his eyes. What exactly are you trying to say? Deep Kim Kok spoke up, his tone dripping with mockery. How about you become my dog? His eyes blazed with murderous intent. Huin Kang was a good subordinate. Since he's dead, you can take his place. Hearing those words, Deep Than nearly gagged. You sure think highly of yourself, don't you? Relying on those cheap, amateur tricks of yours? Seeing Deep Than's bravado, Deep Kim Kok was livid. Deep Than growled, Hey, you surnamed Deep guy, since when did you get the delusion that I'm weaker than you? Deep Than's eyes ignited with a fierce, unwavering flame. His immense aura created a crushing pressure, as if countless wild beasts were swarming toward them. Deep Kim Kok started to feel a twinge of genuine fear. This kind of pressure? Looking at those beastly illusions, he finally realized the terrifying strength of the kid he had looked down upon. He had actually reached the master level. Deep Than smirked. Don't think you can kill me as easily as you killed your underlings. Deep Kim Kok still refused to accept it. No way, it's impossible. There's no way Hua Ha has a master this young. I was panic-stricken, thinking. I spent 45 years burning through countless treasures and rare herbs just to barely step into the master realm. Deep Kim Kok's body began to tremble uncontrollably, and sweat poured down his gaunt face. Realizing his hands were shaking, Deep Kim Kok roared, Don't get cocky! He quickly took a stance and shouted, Even though I don't know what dark arts you used to reach this realm in just a few short years, the gap in our experience is something you can't make up for. His energy manifested into a powerful green tiger illusion. Deep Than asked mockingly, Oh? Is that so? Deep Kim Kok went insane, lunging forward aggressively. Today, I, Deep Kim Kok, will take your head. He stomped hard on the ground, launching himself into the air. In Deep Than's pupils, the sharp claws of his opponent were clearly reflected. Deep Kim Kok screamed in a frenzy, Die! Facing someone like Deep Kim Kok, Deep Than showed no fear. He quickly spotted an opening and launched a counterattack. As fast as Deep Kim Kok was, Deep Than was just as quick. The battle was neck and neck. Suddenly, Deep Kim Kok's claws left a gash on the back of Deep Than's hand. After a brief, fierce exchange of blows, both stepped back to catch their breath. Deep Kim Kok smirked. Not bad, kid. You took all my moves, but those fragile hands of yours... Looking at Deep Than's hand, now covered in wounds, Deep Kim Kok mocked him. How many more hits can you take? At that moment, Deep Than thought to himself, To think he could actually cause external wounds on me. He's stronger than I thought. He raised his head and said lightly, "Let's see. So you scratched my hand a few times, so what?" Within the range of Deep Thin's gaze, Deep Kim Kok cursed in frustration. "Still talking tough?" Suddenly, blood vessels in his eyes began to burst, turning them blood red. Deep Kim Kok suddenly realized his finger had been broken during their exchange. Simultaneously, blood began streaming from his eyes and mouth. Deep Than smirked, thinking to himself, "The gap in experience you were talking about?" He asked triumphantly, "Is that really all you've got?" Deep Than growled his name, "Deep Kim Kok," then surged forward, his eyes burning with killing intent. "Today, I want you to pay for the blood you've shed." Seeing Deep Than leap high, Deep Kim Kok was slightly stunned. He actually dares to attack me in midair? He bared his teeth in contempt, believing he had the upper hand. Truly, still too young. Deep Kim Kok used his energy to repair his claw hand, thinking to himself, "You have nowhere to run in the air, and I only need to focus all my inner energy into this one arm," and then he quickly launched his attack, successfully slashing through Deep Than's shin. Deep Kim Kok chuckled smugly. "Ha ha ha! You stinking brat, your leg is broken. Let's see how you'll fight me now." Suddenly, his expression shifted to one of pure shock. The thing that Deep Kim Kok had just struck was only an illusionary beast created by Deep Than's energy. A fake. It was all a projection made of condensed killing intent. Deep Kim Kok couldn't believe his eyes to have reached such a high level. Before he could process it, Deep Than struck with lightning speed. Whoosh! A moment later, Deep Than's beast roared loudly as he landed on the ground with a towering presence. The intense pressure caused the ground to shake violently. Deep Than whispered, "Not bad for him, master." Looking down at Deep Kim Kok, who was smashed into the ground, Deep Than sneered in judgment. "You're truly stubborn." By now, Deep Kim Kok's face was battered and bruised. He stammered, unable to speak clearly. "Impossible. This is impossible." A hand shot out toward Deep Kim Kok. Deep Than aggressively grabbed him by his hair. Deep Than growled, "Answer my question. I might consider sparing your life." He leaned in closer. "First, how did you find out about my existence? And how many people know about it right now?" Deep Kim Kok whispered, I'll answer." "Do you really think you can bargain with me?" Yechen spat, his voice laced with venom. He slammed Yao Jingu's head into the ground and roared. "Do you honestly think you're still in any position to make demands of me?" Realizing he had no choice, Yao Jing quickly stammered, Fine, I'll talk. A few days ago, I tracked someone through the underground network databases. I found information on you which made me curious. So I sent men to follow the data trail, found some clips and photos, and compared them. The resemblance between you and the late Ye Chen is incredibly high. I prefer to eliminate any threat, so I came for you, Yao Jingu continued. After all, the Long family instructed us long ago that no one from the Ye family should be left alive. Ye Chen's eyes narrowed. He remembered that name, Long. That family had stripped him of everything. Ye Chen crushed his heel down on Yao Jingu and growled, What is the Long family's real name? Where is he? Does he know I'm still alive? Yao Jingu just laughed. Ha! You think someone like me would know the real name of the Long family? All I know is that the entire ancient martial arts world, even the families in the capital, all have to address him as the Long family. As for your existence, even if I wanted to tell him, I wouldn't have the chance. I'm not even qualified to know where he is. Yo Chen pressed him harder. So you don't even have the authority to meet the Long family directly? Yao Jingu struggled to lift his head. Yes, that's it! Yo Chen fell silent for a moment, deep in thought. Then why did the Long family destroy my family at Yunhu Villa? Was it really just because my father offended him? Yao Jingu wheezed. I only remember the Long family seemed to be searching for something, and the trail of that object led straight to the Ye family. Ye Chen's mind raced. Could it the stone my father gave me? He thought to himself, if the Ye family had anything that could attract such powerful figures, it would only be the reincarnation grave inside that stone. Ye Chen glared down at the old man beneath his feet. Suddenly, Yao Jingu let out a manic laugh. Ha 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 ha! It's already over, he said triumphantly. Kid, my men have already reached your little girlfriend's apartment. Go ahead, kill me if you dare. Yao Jingu grinned maliciously. Let's see if your little girlfriend can survive that. As soon as he finished, Yechen stomped his foot down on his head until blood sprayed across the ground. Yechen glared at him. Didn't I tell you? He turned his back coldly and walked away. You are in no position to negotiate with me. Yechen left Yao Jingu with his head buried in the ground, unsure if he was dead or alive. At the Daduo apartment complex, a white car pulled up right in front of the building. Sundi hurried toward her apartment, whispering to herself, "Hurry, hurry!" She didn't know if it was just her imagination, but she kept feeling like someone was following her. Sundi nervously quickened her pace. I have to get home. Once inside, she breathed heavily. Ha! 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 Remembering Ye Chen's instructions, she told herself she couldn't rest yet. Despite the sweat dripping down her forehead, she thought, I have to get to Ye Chen's room quickly. She remembered his words and used his phone to make a call. Sundi quickly dialed the most recent contact. A beep sounded on the other end. After the person picked it up, she quickly explained the situation. I'm Sundi, at apartment 1003, building C, Daduo apartment, Jiang City. Yechen said you would send your strongest person within 30 minutes. Hurry, someone is breaking down the door. Down below the Daduo apartment complex, the lights began to flicker. Several figures in black gathered, waiting. A man in a mask spoke in a cold, serious tone. Master Yao said, no matter if they are dead or alive, finish it quickly and cleanly. If anyone sees us, eliminate them on the spot. The group then started advancing toward Sundi's apartment. Inside the room, Sundi nervously made the call as Ye Chen had instructed. Hello? Hello? Is anyone there? She hurriedly explained the situation. I'm Sundi, at apartment 1003, building C, Daduo apartment, Jiang City. Yechen told me you would send your strongest person within 30 minutes. Hurry, someone's here! At that moment, the figures in black had already started prowling outside. The voice on the other end replied, Understood. The man hung up immediately. Beep. Sundi was trembling with fear. Why did they hang up so fast? Is this phone connected to the police? She thought to herself, whether it's the police or not. Hurry! Please hurry and save me! At the Qianlong building, the man in the black suit gritted his teeth in fury. Who? He roared, his voice trembling with rage. Who dares to touch the Lord's people? They are the enemies of the king of southern Jiang. The man shouted. Where are my men? His subordinates immediately knelt. Please instruct us, king of southern Jiang. Order an immediate deployment to Jiang City. If that woman is harmed, bring me your heads. Two subordinates bowed. Yes. The king of southern Jiang then added, Prepare the helicopter. I must be in Jiang City tonight. One subordinate hesitated, but he warned that tomorrow was the final negotiation for the 6 great families, implying this concerned the stability of the entire Jiangnan province. The king of southern Jiang snapped, Tell them I, the old man, am not going anymore. He crushed the phone in his hand. The king of southern Jiang growled, If they have a problem with that, tell them to come to the Qianlong building and find Ye Lingtian in person. At the same time, the men in black had reached Sundi's apartment and aggressively kicked the door in. One of them grinned, his face contorted in a perverse expression. Found you, the scent of a woman. They taunted, Hey, beautiful, hide well, don't make it too easy for me to find you. One of them grabbed the lead. She's mine to kill. The leader laughed. Ha ha ha, number 3. Hearing this commotion outside, Sundi couldn't help but feel terrified. They're here. A mere subordinate dares to seize authority? I'll kill the leader. He laughed wildly. Ha ha ha! Hearing the commotion outside, Tondai couldn't help but feel anxious. Someone's here. Suddenly, she realized something. Tondai stared at the green energy glowing on the door, wondering what it was. She was absolutely stunned. What on earth had Deep Than done to this door? Outside, one of the thugs muttered. Found her. They whispered, Little lady, come out nicely, and I'll make it quick and painless. Another one added, No, listen to me, I'm going to toy with you slowly. Suddenly, a man spoke in a stern voice. Don't kill her. The group was confused. Huh? Why? The other man replied, I haven't heard from the boss in a while. Who knows, the situation might have changed. Her life might still be useful, he added. But even so, you boys can still have some fun with her. Hearing that, the whole group let out twisted laughs. Heh 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 heh. One of them licked his lips and drooled. Heh heh, beauty, here I come. He lunged forward and threw a heavy punch to smash the door, but despite using all his strength, the door didn't even budge. That green energy was keeping it rock solid. The guy in black was completely bewildered. "What the hell? It took my hit and didn't even scratch?" He couldn't believe his eyes. He stammered, "How is that possible?" The guy next to him bared his teeth and mocked him. "Move, move, move! Let me handle this, you idiot!" One of them noticed the energy aura around the door. He was shocked as he felt a wave of pain hit his body. "What is—" The guy next to him yelled out, "Hey, why is your hand on fire?" The guy in black had been burned by Deepthan's energy. He panicked and shrieked, "It's so hot! It's like a monster is eating me!" The guy in black screamed in agony, "Ah, help me!" The guy in black opened his mouth wide and wailed, "Ah!" The green flames were slowly consuming his body. He begged those around him, screaming, "Help me!" He collapsed to the ground, to the horror of his 500 brothers. Seeing their comrade lying motionless in the flames of the energy aura, they shouted, He's dead!" One of them said sternly, "Whatever they did to this door, I'm afraid brute force won't break it." Looking at the ferocious faces caught in the green flames, they worried that if they kept attacking, they would be swallowed by the aura on the door. It seemed the person Boss Du wanted dead wasn't someone simple. One of them asked, panicked, "So what do we do now?" The leader suddenly pulled out a set of tools and said confidently, "Give me 20 seconds. He smirked and added, "If raw power doesn't work, then using lock-picking tools should do the trick, right?" Seeing this, the underlings were surprised and asked, "Why do you have lock-picking tools on you?" Being a professional assassin, carrying lock-picking tools is perfectly reasonable. One guy took the chance to suck up, "So cool, boss." Hearing the screams outside, Tondi was terrified. That sound from earlier, was that? She was so worried her face turned as pale as a ghost. Someone died. Tondi was tearing up, then suddenly jumped as she heard a noise. The thugs outside were fiddling with the doorknob and calling out, "Beauty!" Their eyes glowing with perverted greed. "I'm coming in!" They successfully got inside thanks to his skilled hands. One of them cheered excitedly, "Wow, I never expected such a beautiful lady." Sitting on the bed, Tondi was beyond terrified. "It's over. It's all over." The group in black started moving toward Tondi and said, "Just to catch you, one of our brothers died. You're gonna have to make it up to us." Seeing them getting physical, Tondi panicked and shouted, Don't come any closer." The leader warned them sternly, "Hey, don't overdo it. We need her alive." The underlings replied, Got it. At that moment, Tondi thought to herself, Deepthan said if I was ever discovered, I should just surrender. I have to survive. She squeezed her eyes shut and silently prayed for Deepthan to come and save her. Just then, a dagger flew through the window and buried itself right into the head of one of the men in black. Blood splattered everywhere. Outside, the men of the Nam Jang King had arrived just in time to help. Tondi was now sobbing uncontrollably. The masked man shouted sternly, "You dare touch the Nam Jang King's people? Do you want to die?" Inside, the thugs got into a fighting stance. "How dare you kill our brother?" One guy was so scared he could only stutter. "Jangnan? The Nam Jang King?" One of the men in black roared, "I don't care who you are! How dare you sneak attack? That's dishonorable, isn't it?" Before he could finish, he let out a painful cry. With lightning-fast reflexes, another fighter successfully buried a knife into the black-clad man's head. Another one down in an instant. Witnessing this, Tondi was stunned, and the remaining thugs were just as panicked. They trembled, thinking, "Oh my God, how did we provoke the Nam Jang King? I was the most terrifying existence in the entire Jiangnan province. Legend had it that you'd rather offend all the top families in Jiangnan than cross the Nam Jang King, the underground king." The leader quickly pleaded, I surrender." Before he could finish, the person with the ponytail slashed him down. With a few simple moves, the Nam Jang King's men had taken down the whole bunch of losers. Tondi seemed like she hadn't come back to reality yet. "I'm saved." Two masked men bowed politely. "Miss Tone, you don't need to worry. We are Mr. Diep's men." Tondi asked in surprise, "You mean Deepthan?" At the Thiendong Mountain Cemetery, at 3 in the morning, a gloomy atmosphere shrouded the area. Deepthan dragged a dead body with a dark expression. Under the dim moonlight, he remained completely silent. The person in Deepthan's grip was Du Kim Kok. He had been beaten until he didn't have a breath of life left. Deepthan dragged him up the steps to his parents' gravestone and paused in deep thought. looking at the tombstone inscribed with the names of his father, Diepchan Thien, and his mother, Jang Boydong. Diepthan whispered, "Father, mother, today is the anniversary of your passing. Your son has come to visit you." Diepthan's eyes showed deep, lingering sadness. He stomped his foot heavily on the ground and then ferociously hoisted Du Kim Kok's body up with his foot. The man's eyes were wide open. His mouth was crushed, and several teeth were knocked out. Du Kim Kok lay limp before the gravestone. Diepthan said sternly, "Kneel for me." Du Kim Kok still tried to be tough. "I, Du Kim Kok, am a grandmaster. How could I kneel before some ordinary mortals?" He dragged his broken body and scrambled to beg, "Just kill me." Diepthan grabbed Du Kim Kok fiercely and said, "I told you." Then he slammed Du Kim Kok's head down before the gravestone. The man trembled and begged, "Enough! That's enough!" Diepthan roared, "Not enough!" and slammed his head down again. He kept shoving Yao Jinggu's head into the dirt again and again and again until Yao Jinggu finally stopped moving. Only then did Diepthan stop. He spoke, his eyes blazing with fury. "Better get the offerings ready." After the deed was done, he packed Yao Jinggu's remains into a foam box, and Lam carried it in one hand. Diepthan downed some liquor and muttered, "Mom, Dad, this is the first sacrifice I offer to you both." His eyes hardened with hatred. "Rest assured, this is only the beginning." Diepthan gritted his teeth. "I swear everyone involved with the Van Ho estate 5 years ago, including that man from the capital, I will personally send them to hell to pay for what they did to you." The next day, Tondai bought a bouquet to visit the Deep family grave. She sighed. "So much has happened over the past 2 nights. I really can't seem to figure that Deepthan guy out anymore." Tondai rubbed her chin thoughtfully. "At first, I thought he was just a street-smart con artist. If he didn't look so much like my late old friend, I probably wouldn't have taken him in back then." Suddenly, she froze at the sight before her. The ground was littered with empty liquor bottles. Tondie was so shocked, she dropped the flowers from her hands. She called out, "Deepthan?" At that moment, Deepthan mumbled, "Mom, Dad." Tondai could hardly believe her eyes. The man was Deepthan. She sat down and said softly, "Deepthan. I should have guessed it sooner." Tondai was moved. "No wonder you came close to me, protected me, and helped me solve every problem." She gently stroked Diepthan's face and whispered to herself, "That's right. Only you would do something like that." "Why didn't I realize it sooner? I'm such a fool." Tondai pulled the man in front of her into a hug, unable to imagine what he had been through all these years. "What exactly could have changed you so much? It must have been such a painful experience." Tondai said softly, "From now on, you don't have to bear everything alone." Standing before the Diep family tombstone, she whispered, "Uncle, Auntie, long time no see. I never expected Deepthan to show up this year. He's finally back," she said firmly. "Don't worry, I will help you keep an eye on him. I won't let him do anything reckless. He is very capable now. He has grown into an excellent man." By now, the noise had woken Deepthan up. "Tondi, why are you here?" Deepthan rambled. "What are you doing? I still want a drink." Tondai quickly stopped him. "Don't drink anymore. Let's go home." Supporting him, Tondai couldn't help but scold, "You smell like a brewery. It's absolutely disgusting." "You've been drinking all night, haven't you? Your mom already talked to me. She told me to keep you in check. So now, we're going home, you're taking a shower, and then you're going to sleep, you hear me?" Deepthan's face flushed red, and he murmured, "You're not my wife." Tondai replied, "Your aunt and uncle said that until you find a wife, I'll be your temporary one. Did you hear that? Now follow me home." Hearing that, Deepthan smiled happily. Perhaps, more than revenge, this scene was what his parents wanted to see. They quickly left, leaving behind the parcel containing Yao Jinggu's remains. 3 hours later, someone else came to visit the grave. So Thuk Nienzin's face darkened. She didn't know why, but she had been having nightmares all night. Some ghost, had driven her here. Looking at the bundle placed in front of the tombstone, So Thuk Nien was momentarily startled. There was an offering? Someone had been here before her. When she opened it, she was absolutely horrified. It was the master, Yao Jinggu. She was so terrified that sweat poured down like a waterfall. Who on earth could kill Yao Jinggu and then use him as a sacrifice? Wait, this is the Deep family tomb. Could this be revenge? Combined with the deaths of the Tran family father and daughter a few days ago, so Thuk Nien quickly issued an order. Immediately investigate all surveillance cameras near the Thien Dong mountain area. I want to know who visited the Diep family grave today. In the center of the city, the sun began to rise, signaling the start of a new day. In the apartment, there was a continuous knocking on the door. In the warm, soft bed, Deep Than was sleeping peacefully while hugging Ton Dai. Both were deep in slumber. Hearing the noise, Deep Than jolted awake. Ugh, I drank way too much, that's rare. Ton Dai also asked, who is that knocking at this hour? Seeing her seductive appearance, Deep Than couldn't help but jump, his face turning as red as a tomato. Deep Than asked Ton Dai loudly, why are you sleeping in my bed? He put on a victimized act. Have you finally started craving my body? Ton Dai retorted, who's craving your body in your dreams? She replied angrily, not to mention, you jerk, you drank too much. You insisted on hugging me to sleep, I couldn't get away. Ton Dai touched her body and continued, and now I'm covered in the smell of alcohol because of you. Deep Than smiled and teased, what's wrong? Aren't you my temporary wife? Can't I hug you for a little bit? Ton Dai said shyly. Well, it's not like you can't. At least not while you're drunk. At that moment, the doorbell interrupted their bickering. Ton Dai's face immediately darkened. She urged him, go open the door, quickly. I'm wearing these clothes, how can I meet anyone? Deep Than stood up. All right, coming. He opened the door casually. Seeing the person standing there, Deep Than was a bit surprised. Tham Monggia? He asked. What are you doing here? Tham Monggia got straight to the point. Mr. Diep, weren't you supposed to have dinner with my father today? We couldn't get a hold of you, so we had to come find you. Looking at Diep Than's shirtless, muscular build, Tham Monggia was slightly intrigued. Not bad. This guy's body is actually pretty good. Deep Than scratched his head and replied, oh, about that matter with Tom Hai Hua? You left an appointment at 14 Tay Lam Long, 7 p.m. As the Tem family's luxury car zoomed down the road, Tom Hai Hua asked, 14 Tay Lam Long? Which restaurant is that at? Does a restaurant like that even exist in Jiangtan? Tham Monggia, sitting beside him, chimed in, Dad, I've never heard of it either. Maybe it's not in Jiangtan? The driver hesitated and said, Mr. Tam, I know that place, but it's just a bit. Tham Hai Hua smiled and said, if you know it, that's fine. A bit what? Too expensive? Too fancy? It doesn't matter. It's worth spending more to treat Mr. Diep to a meal. The driver stuttered. That's not it, Mr. Tam. That place is just a small, not-so-famous food street. Only small shops just opened there. The average cost is not more than $30. Hearing this, Tham Hai Hua was slightly shocked. Tham Monggia couldn't believe her ears. A small food street? A small shop? Tham Hai Hua also asked loudly, average cost of $30? Tham Monggia said apprehensively, Dad, that guy is holding over $1 billion in medical funds, yet he tells us to go eat unsanitary street food? How stingy. Tham Hai Hua had to say, ahem. He is a master after all. Perhaps he simply prefers that. The Tem family's luxury car parked right in front of the eatery. Uncle Uong and Aunt Truong were stunned, saying, although we can't tell what kind of car this is, it's certainly expensive enough to scare the life out of someone. Mr. Uong thought, someone who can drive this kind of car. Why would he come to this little shop of mine? At that moment, Deep Than spoke up. Uncle Uong, Aunt Truong, these are the guests I invited. Please hurry and prepare something. Hearing this, Uncle Uong was startled. A Than's guests? My goodness, what kind of big shot does Athan know? The Tem family's expensive leather shoes stepped into the humble eatery. Tham Hai Hua said heartily, ha ha ha! I smelled the aroma as soon as I got out of the car. No wonder this is the place Mr. Diep chose. Tham Monggia judged, isn't it just the smell of regular grilled meat? Just then, Uncle Uong warmly welcomed them. Quick, everyone, please come in. Food was laid out. Very simple dishes. After tasting one, Tham Monggia exclaimed in surprise, huh? It's unexpectedly delicious. The price is cheap, and it has a very special flavor. Tham Hai Hua looked around and thought to himself, reasonable price, good taste, but the decor is too simple. The location is remote, and there is only one table of customers in the shop. The situation is dire. What they need most right now is traffic. He immediately gave the order. Kid, go tell the company's PR department to arrange things. Even if I have to make this street a hot food destination, I want this shop to be packed during mealtimes from now on. The kid replied, Mr. Tam, rest assured this is easy to handle. Witnessing this, Uncle Wong and Aunt Truong were so surprised they couldn't close their mouths. Good heavens, what is his background? A single word from him and he can pull this off? The only reason he's doing this is to show respect to Athan. It's hard to believe. Just then Deepthan spoke up. Mr. Tam, you have a kind heart. I thank you on behalf of Uncle Uong and Aunt Truong. Tom Hai Hua replied, Mr. Diep, you are too polite. It was just a small favor. He continued, Mr. Diep, you invited me to dinner, but it's surely not just for the food, is it? Jeepthan said sternly. Mr. Tham, you really are a leader in business, getting straight to the point. If so, I won't beat around the bush anymore, Mr. Tam. How much do you know about the Thien Chin Corporation? Hearing that name, Tham Hai Hua was suddenly startled. Thien Chin Corporation? 5 years ago, Thien Chin Corporation used to be the property of the Jang Than Diep family. Deep Thien Chin was the manager. It was once glorious, but then the tragedy at Van Ho Villa happened. The Deep family of 3 was murdered. Deep Thien Chin died, and Thien Chin Corporation was split up by various factions. Those forces, to cover their tracks, repeatedly repackaged Thien Chin Corporation under the guise of reorganizing assets, making it very difficult for anyone to know where it ended up. Tham Hai Hua questioned, Mr. Diep, why do you care so much about Thien Chin Corporation? This was the Jang Than Diep family. Speaking of this, a series of connections flashed in his mind. Mr. Diep, Diep Than, Diep Thien Chin, the Deep family, Thien Chin Corporation. Tham Hai Hua was stunned to realize he didn't die, and he has returned with life-saving medical skills. Seeing that shocked expression, Deep Than said softly, It seems Mr. Tam has guessed the whole story. The purpose of me calling you here is only one. Then Diep Than clasped his hands and went straight to the point. I want to take back Thien Chin Corporation. Tom Hai Hua asked in surprise, Mr. Diep wants to take back Thien Chin Corporation? Deep Than said firmly, My father's life's work. I must naturally take it back, he said in a serious voice. Please, Mr. Tam, tell me exactly where Thien Chin Corporation is now. Hearing this, Tom Hai Hua replied, Tam here does know a little bit. 5 years ago, Thien Chin Corporation was carved up. The participating forces were complex, and the largest share was taken by the Thanhua Group, he continued. And the leader of Thanhua Group is named Trin Can Min. Hearing that, Diep Than thought to himself, Trin Can Min, even in death, I wouldn't forget him. He was my father's old good friend. How was the uncle I trusted the most? His eyes burned with hatred. Deep Than still remembered it vividly. It was him who personally handed the invitation to Van Ho Villa to my father. Not only that, even when my father was murdered, he was busy laughing and currying favor with that man from the capital. Seeing his expression was not good, Tondai called out softly, Deep Than. Hearing that, Deep Than snapped out of it. He quickly changed his expression and said softly, Don't worry, I'm fine. At this time, Tom Hai Hua spoke up. Mr. Diep, I can see that you might not understand the business world well. Coincidentally, I have a way. He offered, I will compile some information about Thanhua Group. After that, let's think of a way to take down Thanhua. How about it? At this moment, Tham Mongia looked anxiously at her father, who was trembling. Is he nervous? She realized no, it was because her father wanted to tie his fate to Diep Than's. He was making a firm decision. Jeep Than asked softly, Mr. Tam, you said this water runs very deep. Aren't you afraid the Tem family will get involved? Tham Hai Hua replied, Businessmen all seek profit. If we can take back Thien Chin Corporation, I hope to get 10% of the shares and profit, but I don't need real power. What do you think? If you agree, I will start working on it immediately. Hearing this, Tondai spoke up softly. I am the general manager of Huamai. I have some understanding of business rules. This move by Tom Hai Hua is not just seeking profit. Hai is clearly finding a way to tie his fate to Diep Than. Deep Than smiled with satisfaction and said, Then I will trouble you, Mr. Tham. Shen Hai Hua is so incredibly honest. Since I'm currently on my own and could use some backup, if the Shen family ever runs into trouble later, I'll lend them a hand. Just then, Shen Hai Hua's body trembled slightly. He realized this was exactly that feeling, the rush of excitement from expanding one's territory. Shen Hai Hua believes that if he can make the Shen family successful this time, he will surely be able to reach new heights. Tongzi said happily, If you can reclaim your uncle's life's work. He would surely be comforted even in the afterlife. Ye Chen replied, "True." He noticed he was being followed but felt no murderous intent. Ye Chen guessed to himself. He figured it was probably Ye Lingtian who sent someone to protect him. On the way back, Tongji spoke up. "We're almost out of snacks at home. Need to restock a bit." She asked gently, "Ye Chen, is there anything you want to eat?" Yo Chen replied, "No need, I don't eat those." Hearing this, Tongji put on a sulky face. "Fine, then I'll just buy a lot in case someone gets cravings later." She stood behind him. Yo Chen made a phone call to someone. He muttered to himself, "I really should meet him." The person on the other end spoke up. "Palace Master, you finally called me." Yo Chen said sternly, "If I'm not mistaken, you're in Jiangcheng right now. And another thing, stop calling me Palace Master." The person on the other end replied, "As expected of the Palace Master, your calculations are truly godlike. I am indeed in Jiangcheng." Seeing how stubborn the other person was, Ye Chen was left speechless. He said helplessly, "Forget it. Call me whatever you want. 8 o'clock tonight. Find a place to meet. There are some things we need to clear up." The king of Jiangnan laughed. "Ha ha ha, Palace Master, you've finally agreed to see me. The meeting place will be the Yuhao Club. It's a property of mine, very trustworthy, and the environment is very quiet." After hanging up, Ye Chen thought to himself, "I remember that place. It's a high-end nightclub in Jiangcheng. The entry list there is something money can't even buy. I never expected it to be Ye Lingtian's property. What kind of person is this guy?" At that same moment, the father and daughter of the Su family were heading toward the Yuhao Club. Seeing his daughter's expression was off, Master Su spoke up. "Shuran, are you still thinking about the Yao Jinggu matter?" He added, "That was likely just an accident." Su Shuran didn't believe things were that simple. An accident? The Su family used almost all our resources to investigate the cause of death, but every time we got to a critical point, we lost the trail. It's like someone is intentionally blocking us. Su Shuran thought deeply. Who on earth could seal off all information so tightly that even our Su family can't get a touch of it? Master Su then said, "Stop overthinking it. I have an appointment tonight with someone from the National Security Bureau. Perhaps through their network we can find some clues." Just then, a staff member politely said, "Please present your membership card." After verifying the black card, the staff member smiled warmly. "Please, come in." Once inside, Shuran said, "Dad, the atmosphere here tonight doesn't seem like the usual days. Everyone around here is radiating incredibly powerful energy." Su Shuran noticed there were many experts, several with the aura of high-level fighters. Master Su replied, "Indeed." Observing the situation, he asked, "Shuran, did you notice that hunched-over old man?" Looking at the old man, lumbering along with round glasses, Shuran raised a question. "Dad, what's wrong? Do you know him?" Master Su replied, "I know him, but he might not know me. He is the boss behind this Yuhao Club, Dalao." He continued, "That hunchback is actually a martial arts grandmaster with immense strength. This is also one of the reasons no one dares to mess with the Yuhao Club." Su Shuran was slightly surprised. "A martial arts grandmaster? Dad, there's one thing I've never understood. The Yuhao Club is luxurious, but is it enough to make every family in Jiangcheng risk their lives to please it just because of Dalao? Is he a grandmaster?" Master Su stared and said, "Of course not. The real reason lies with the person behind Dalao. His name is the King of Jiangnan, Ye Lingtian." The meeting place was filled with a warm and lively atmosphere, with people going about their business, each in their own world. Meanwhile, in Su Shuran's heart, as soon as she heard that name, she broke into a cold sweat, unable to believe her ears. "The King of Jiangnan, Ye Lingtian." She stroked her chin thoughtfully. "While the Su family is the top family in Jiangcheng, our influence is mainly limited to Jiangcheng. But beneath the shadow of the King of Jiangnan lies the entire Jiangnan province." Thinking of how Ye Lingtian held the sky in his hands there made one's hair stand on end. Her father, standing beside her, reminded her, "Don't dwell on the King of Jiangnan anymore. The gap in status between us is too great." As he led Su Shuran down the long hallway, the old man asked again to confirm, "The person from the National Security Bureau should be arriving soon, right? We must treat them well. You can't be walking around looking like you've lost your soul." While he was asking, Su Shuran was still distracted, thinking far away. Finally, she had to force a smile and answer, "Dad, you go ahead and host them. I'll take a walk around to get some air." Knowing he couldn't force his daughter, the old man gave a slight nod. Fine, go ahead. Standing alone in the hallway, Su Shuran pondered deeply. Even now, when she closed her eyes, the image of Yao Jingu's corpse still appeared in her mind. Unconsciously, she brought her thumb up to bite it lightly, lost in thought. Yao Jingu's death isn't important. What's important is that the person who killed him used his corpse to pay respects to the Ye family. If there's anyone left from the Ye family who could be alive, Su Shuran's train of thought was interrupted by the appearance of a familiar figure. The person walked towards her in the opposite direction. As he got closer, she was shocked. Ye Chen? He was also surprised. Su Shuran's brow furrowed even tighter. Even if that trash Ye Chen were still alive, he lost the Ye family and is just a drifter. How could he appear here? Then she reassured herself. This person must just look like him. She thought to herself, regardless of who you are, I'll give you a pass just because you look like that guy. I might as well throw him a crumb of pity, since he looks so pathetic. She immediately put on a friendly, cheerful act, flashing a bright smile at the Godslayer, who only felt annoyed. As he raised an eyebrow to ask what she wanted, So Thuk Nien replied, I mistook you for someone else. You look a bit like an old classmate of mine. It reminded me of the past. Even though nobody asked, she kept talking nonchalantly. That person is so miserable. His background is quite pitiful. After saying that, So Thuk Nien pulled out her business card. She offered it to Deepthan with great enthusiasm, saying, My name is So Thuk Nien. You can come to this club. It's impossible that you haven't heard of the Jiang City So family. This is my personal card. If you run into any trouble, you can come find me for help. Before the card could even leave So Thuk Nien's hand, Deepthan swatted it away. So Thuk Nien asked in shock, What do you think you're doing? In response, Deepthan stepped on the fancy card, grinding it under his foot to show his utter contempt, not hiding the disgust on his face. Deepthan spat out, What is this trash? I don't want it. Get lost. Humiliated, a person like So Thuk Nien couldn't take it. She said, Okay, that's some nerve. Don't you realize you've just thrown away a bright future? Deepthan didn't care at all and retorted, You think you're worth it? His eyes turned razor-sharp and terrifying. Get lost! I won't say it a third time. So Thuk Nien snapped, raising her hand high as she scolded. How insolent, no matter which powerful family you come from. You are nothing compared to the So family. Before she could even touch a hair on Deepthan, Hada, who had appeared out of nowhere, spoke up to stop her. Stop, he demanded sternly. What do you think you're doing? Upon hearing that voice, it felt like thunderclaps to her ears. So Thuk Nien froze, turning to Hada in fear. She ignored Deepthan and immediately put on a fawning expression to introduce herself to Hada. Hada, I am So Thuk Nien from the So family. I've heard of you for many years. Hada didn't care about logic, nor did he want to hear her talk. He barked straight at her face. Get lost! He pointed at her and shouted. Scram, I don't care if you're from the So family or the Cow family, get out! Don't you ever dare step foot into the Ngu Hao Club again! So Thuk Nien turned pale, stammering, Sorry, I'm leaving right now. As she turned to leave, she muttered curses under her breath. Damn, Deepthan, consider yourself lucky today. Conversely, Deepthan glanced at So Thuk Nien, feeling deeply annoyed. What bad luck. A month later, the scene remained the same, and the people hadn't changed either. Only the old man Hada stood while Deepthan sat. Both were men of few words waiting for someone else. Unable to stand it any longer, he spoke up. It's past the agreed time. Deep Long Thien hasn't shown up yet. Looks like he stood us up. Hada rubbed his hands together like a petty, smug villain. He reassured him. Surely something came up on the way. Don't worry, Mr. Diep. The king of Jiangnan will be here soon. Deepthan didn't even bother looking at him, saying with disgust, I'll only wait for him for 3 minutes. If he's not here in 3 minutes, tell him not to bother coming. Seeing Deepthan's bold spirit, it was clear he wasn't just putting on an act. All right, Hada thought to himself with a hint of nervousness. What exactly is this kid's identity to dare be so disrespectful to the king of Jiangnan? He repeated, Surely something came up on the way, Mr. Diep, don't worry. The king of Jiangnan will be here soon, he grumbled inwardly. If it weren't for the king of Jiangnan's orders, why would a dignified man like me have to serve you? As soon as he finished, the room's door swung open. Deep Lang Thien appeared alongside another clan leader. Deep Long Thien's presence was not to be trifled with. It radiated an overwhelming aura. As soon as he saw Deep Long Thien, Hada jumped in fright, completely intimidated, while Deepthon remained as calm as ever without any reaction. Hada quickly bowed. Hada pays his respects to the king of Jiangnan. He broke out in a cold sweat, stealing a glance and thinking, "It's been over a year since I last saw the king of Jiangnan. He's still as formidable as before." As for Deepthon, his brows were knitted tight, showing he was annoyed. Without a shred of reservation, he confronted him. "You're 2 minutes late." But the next second, his face softened as he chided, "Making me wait this long." Hada immediately jumped in to make excuses for Diep Longthian. "Mr. Diep, the king of Jiangnan has many busy affairs." But he was cut off by Diep Longthian dropping to his knees. Diep Longthian knelt on one knee, apologizing to Deepthon. "Lord, please calm your anger." This action from Diep Longthian left all 3 people present in shock. Both clan leaders had their eyes wide and mouths agape, shouting in unison, "What?" As for Deep, he was speechless. Hada broke into a cold sweat. "Oh my God, can someone explain what is going on? The dignified king of Jiangnan just didn't even think twice before kneeling. Is there no logic left in this world?" The other clan leader was no different from Hada. It was Diep Longthian, the king of Jiangnan, whose name made all of Jiang City tremble. That Diep Longthian, let alone Jiang City, even the great families of Jiangnan province had to watch his expression to get things done. The situation felt frozen. No one moved. No one knew how to react. Deepthon spoke up. "What are you trying to pull?" Diep Longthian replied, "Lord, please calm your anger. Your subordinate hasn't seen you in so long I couldn't help myself." Before he could finish, the 2 clan leaders screamed in shock once more. "The Lord!" They looked at the slender young man who didn't seem special at all. This youth is the legendary Lord. Everyone knows. The king of Jiangnan holds the most powerful underground force in Jiangnan province. He controls the power and rules of the entire province. He is the most terrifying existence. He's no different from a king. Hearing the name Diep Longthian is enough to make people wet their pants. But only a few knew that the position of the head of this power had been kept empty from the beginning. The king of Jiangnan always emphasized that he was only managing it for the true ruler, in reality, the Lord. Thinking back on these events and looking at the current situation made Hada even more terrified. He thought to himself, now the puzzle is solved, without thinking much more. Both clan leaders dropped to their knees at the same time. They bowed carefully to Deepthon. "Subordinates pay respects to the Lord." Deepthon poured a bucket of cold water on them. "I already said, I am not the Lord." He turned to Diep Longthian, who was still kneeling, and ordered, "Diep Longthian, you stay. Everyone else, get out." He accepted the order. "Yes." He turned back to look at the 2 old men. Diep Longthian glared at them. "You 2 keep watch outside. If anyone dares to disturb us, no matter who they are, kill them." The 2 men, already bowing, lowered their heads even further. "Understood." The king of Jiangnan's order was immediately executed. The 2 clan leaders stepped out and shut the door tightly. Diep Longthian now stood up and respectfully said to Deepthon, "Lord, with them guarding, no one will dare listen in or disturb us." He calmly asked Diep Longthian, "I really can't figure out why you insist on calling me Lord. Is it just because I saved you at Vanma Valley a few years ago?" No one dared to eavesdrop or disturb him. He asked calmly, "Diep Longthian, I really don't get it. Why must you insist on calling me Master of the Palace? Is it just because I saved you at Vanma Valley a few years ago?" Bringing up that name, Yelongtian looked thoughtful. Vanma Valley? That was a long time ago. He recalled the desperate life-or-death situation. Back then, my brothers and I were surrounded by a horde of martial arts experts. We were severely wounded. It was a sure death sentence. Yeshin thought to himself, I usually wouldn't bother interfering, but they said they were from Jiangnan province just like me, so I felt a bit of pity. I used the formation talisman the old man gave me to wipe them out. Longtian, moved by gratitude, spoke while reaching into his coat pocket. "Saving my life is one thing. That earned my respect. But the real reason I call you the Hall Master," he pulled out a medal and said, "It's this." Yeshen picked it up to inspect it. At first glance, it looked like nothing special, but the moment he looked closer, he was shocked. A young man was carved in exquisite detail right in the center. Wait, this guy in the medal, why does he look exactly like me? He grilled Yelongtian. "Who did you have make this, and why is my face on it?" He protested. "Hall Master, you've misunderstood," he explained. This metal has a century-long history, dating back long before you saved me. With your keen eye, surely you can tell. You kept a calm face, but pressed on. Where did it come from? In truth, Yashin already had the answer. He was just testing the guy. The markings on the metal really were over 100 years old. Yalongtian spoke honestly. My lord, this is a family heirloom left by my great-great-grandfather. He was a master geomancer in his time. His mastery of feng shui was unparalleled. Back then, he foresaw that our family would vanish within 100 years. He used secret techniques to peer into the heavens and realized we needed to find someone born with the imperial dragon aura. He looked Yashin straight in the eye, clenching his fist. He sacrificed 20 years of his remaining lifespan to forge this metal, praying it would change our fate. He left a final instruction. The emperor on this metal shares the surname Ye. In 100 years you will meet. If I didn't seize this opportunity, I, Yalongtian, would be the one to destroy my own clan. Yashin rubbed his chin. That sounds a bit exaggerated. What century are we in to still be talking about emperors? But the old man did mention my destiny was special, specifically the dragon aura. That's why he told me to save Xiaoruxue's life. Thinking deeper, he came to a different conclusion. It all pointed to the same truth. The dragon aura could defy the heavens and rewrite the fate of others. Yalongtian kept rambling. Hall Master, about the tragedy at Vanho Manor 5 years ago. I've heard about it. Over these past few years, I've built up a significant force. Even if I can't take on the powerhouses in the capital just yet, just give me enough time, and I will definitely help you march back to the capital and wipe out all your enemies. Yashin cut him off, his attitude shifting, turning cold and lethal. My enemies are for me to settle. If you dare to interfere, we are strangers from this point on. Yalongtian bowed in a panic. I wouldn't dare! Please calm your anger, my lord. He thought to himself, I guess I overstepped. With the Hallmaster's strength, why would he ever need my help for revenge? Yashin coldly held up 3 fingers. I can be your Hallmaster, fine. But you must promise me 3 things. Yalongtian rushed to say, Name them, my lord. Yashin said slowly, First, do not meddle in my private life. Without my orders, you do not lift a finger. Second, send people to protect my wife. If anyone touches a hair on her head, show them no mercy. Third, do everything in your power to investigate the whereabouts of that man in the capital. At the same time, dig deep into the Vanho Manor incident. It's not as simple as it looks. Hearing his instructions, Yalongtian was fired up. Rest assured, my lord, I can handle all 3 conditions. Yashin turned to leave. I've said what I needed to say. It's time for me to go. I'll contact you when I need you. Yalongtian remembered something. Wait, my lord, I have one more thing to report. He said, Recently, several forces have been investigating you. The first is the So family. They pulled the surveillance footage from Tianhuang Mountain, but I blocked them. The second is from the Ha family in Jiangnan province, but they were shallow and didn't dig deep. The ones I couldn't stop are the National Security Bureau and the Dragon Soul Strike Team. Yashin didn't show any outward reaction. He stayed calm, analyzing it internally. The Ha family is easy to explain. Xiaoruxu must be doing it because of my alchemical formula. The So family. Given So Thuk Nien's reaction earlier, it seems they haven't identified me yet. But they are definitely looking. As for the National Security Bureau and the Dragon Soul Team, they are government agencies. Why are they investigating me? Did they discover the cause of death for the Trans and Du Kim Valley people? Are they linked to me? Seeing Yashin lost in thought, Yalongtian reassured him, Don't worry, my lord. I'll find someone to take the fall for the deaths of the Trans family and the Du Kim Valley people. Even if they suspect you, they don't have evidence, so they won't dare to move recklessly. But please, stay cautious. Yashin walked away, waving his hand. Thanks. Yalongtian bowed respectfully. Yashin wondered, why is the So family investigating me? Could it be that they found out about my visit to the Tianhuang Mountain Memorial? That seems to be the only reason. As soon as he stepped out of the building, Yashin was blocked. He was surprised to see it was still So Thuk Nien. She crossed her arms arrogantly. If you kneel and apologize right now, I might consider letting you live. So Thuk Nien was like a leech. If you apologize, I might consider letting you live. Silence was his only answer. Yashin frowned. So Thuk Nien asked, annoyed, Are you listening to me? Yashin turned his back on her, pretending to be deep in thought. I should probably buy a car. It's pretty cold out tonight, and I could use a change of clothes. His actions drove her insane. So Thuknyen immediately used her technique, her fingernails turning into sharp, vicious claws. Then I'll make you suffer. Under the crescent moon, So Thuknyen looked like a predatory beast. She lunged at Yashin from behind, but Yashin didn't even need to turn around to effortlessly dodge the strike. Moreover, he turned her own momentum against her, grabbing her arm mid-lunge. I knew the tide was turning, and it was happening at a dizzying speed.